slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing cushion clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Welcome everyone to Titan Esports. It's the finals of Divinity League, the very finals. There is nothing after this for this split. It's Conduit Riven versus XSV Dusk, and it's come down to two final teams. We've had quite a few banger series, a lot of 3-0s actually on the broadcast, but they're not always 3-0s on the other side of things. I'm Caleb Payne. I'm
3-0 close though.
Close, yeah, close 3-0s. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I mean, we're here, we're casting the Divinity finals. I mean, what more could you ask for except for a banger tonight, right? We've got Conduit Riven on one side, we got XSV Dusk on the other, and both of these teams extremely strong, as we've seen time and time again. Now, one thing to note going into this is XSV Dusk last week did take out Conduit Riven's sister team. So are we going to be seeing the vengeance come through, or is it just the kryptonite really coming in clutch?
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But I believe Dusk has faced Conduit teams every week of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. So they are no stranger to facing that war. Could have been a Conduit Civil War, but instead we have quite the finals. And both junglers playing really well throughout the splits. So that should be a matchup that's really fun to watch. But I think all these matchups should be pretty close across the board. So a lot of people predicting probably 3-2s in favor of Conduits, but no one's really predicting anything besides a 3-2. So it could really go anyway. And I don't really know where I have my money at, but I do think that this could go the distance and go the full 5 games.
Honestly, all I'm really anticipating is that this is going to be an interesting one to watch in the slightest, because I mean, we've seen, Como and Midnight just take over games. Like you mentioned, the jungle position is where, these players really have had their time to shine. But that's the thing, right? A lot of the times when you have junglers who are really shining, it's only because they're playing these carry junglers, right? It's because they're like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to get a lot of kills. I'm just going to use my gold all across the map. And I'm going to be real with you. It's not the hardest thing to do, right? I mean, if you're already fed, you can do something with that gold. Now, where things start to shine is when you have a carry jungler versus a carry jungler, right? Because then it becomes less of, oh, well, my game plan is just get gold. It becomes, my game plan is make sure that the enemy jungler doesn't snowball their game off of my laners. And you start seeing the mind games coming into play. You start seeing the counter picks coming into play. I would not be surprised if we start seeing some of these counter picks saved late for jungle.
That's right. Well, speaking of the carry junglers, let's see if they draft any carry junglers for game number 1, as we have the draft ready to go. And again, this is a fearless format, so any champions picked up in the first few games will not be used for eligible for subsequent games. This is, of course, the first game though, so everything is on the table. Looks like Conduit gets first pick, I believe. Usually first pick's on the other side, but maybe our graphics are a little bit airing out right now. So we'll keep you all updated once we get the champions banned out and actually selected.
I mean, right now, as you can see, we got like a few hiccups here and there. We're not dropping 3 bans on either side, right? Can you imagine if they just gentlemen, no bans, no fearless, just our favorite picks each and every time? No, it is going to be Efron's Mel taken away from the get-go. Last week we saw the Mel come through, and they did build a dive comp to help deal with it, but they did not play properly to that dive, so the Mel still managed to reign supreme. So whether or not we actually see that go crazy is a different question, but you see the comfort picks being taken off the table, and I love to see that, right? Comfort over meta. Ooh. Seraphine picked up first. I love this. I love that it's not immediately slammed with Ashe, because Seraphine opens so many possibilities, right? If you pick your secondary, pairing late, you could end up going with Seraphine Sona with a bruiser comp. You could go Seraphine Lux if you have a way to deal with a backline that's so far away, like Jinx or Kog'Maw, for example. Ashe going to be taken away on the other side, and that's the beauty of picking Seraphine first. You always see the Ashe taken on the other side, and now you have ways to deal with that.
Yeah, you kind of force a hand a bit too, and we also see the jungler picked up as well. We're going to get the Bears paired up with it too. Probably going to be the jungler picked up here. Could still be a Mundo. The healing synergy still works quite well with the Seraphine. But let's see if
Just
they
a
opt for a
bruiser.
different kind of. Oh, they go with
Bruiser
the
of some kind.
Viego.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, Midnight playing that carry jungler right off the bats. Love to see it. Fantastic Viego player as well. So going to see how they respond. Could likely be a support pick, and it's going to be the Melio. So a lot of healing on their side as well for Conduit to pair up with their bot laner.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love these two a lot. Seraphine and Varus, two champions that work very, very well together. You know, the hail of arrows from Varus, getting that slow, making sure that Seraphine does still get the guaranteed root and or stun. I will say I'm not a huge fan of the Karma ban if you are planning on picking Seraphine on B1, because Milio, one of those champions that allows Seraphine to struggle a lot more to make use of that encore. Milio into Varus is something that if you're a Varus player, you think to yourself, wow, if there's any support in the game that I don't want to be dealing with, it's this one. And that is that Varus. So like, that is that Milio. So really don't want to be seeing that Milio on here, but do they have an option to deal with it? They don't have the point and click ability of the Vi. They do have the potential of that Viego. So right now they need more frontliners. They need more divers, people who can actually walk through into the enemy team and threaten that backline.
Yeah, both teams picking pretty, poke heavy comps, more on the damage
Azir?
range. Azir going to be picked up for the side of Dusk, and they're going to round out their top lane. It's going to be the Ornn, great pick up for some very necessary frontline. And speaking of frontline, Conduit's definitely going to need some themselves. Otherwise, Como's going to be really trying to carry the whole team on his back in terms of frontline purpose. And there is the Mordekaiser. There we go. Okay. I mean, both drafts look pretty solid. Which one are you favoring a little bit more here?
Conduit mid-note Riven by a long shot. So I said at the beginning, right? I love the early Seraphine pick, right? I think that it's totally fine. It's great. It's perfect. You pair it with the Varus. Cool. That's wonderful. Why is Milio open? Right? So you've got, the #1 counter to Seraphine, the #1 counter to Varus, picked on the support position for Conduit mid-note Riven. You have Azir, a champion that we've seen win twice outside of the LPL, if you're just counting major regions. And if your name is Caps, you have won on it. Otherwise, we have not seen very much winning on this champion. We see the Ornn being picked when Mordekaiser is up. And all of a sudden, you have, once again, champions that are very, very good in very niche scenarios, and you have slotted them into those scenarios 1 for 1, right? If XSV Dusk manage to win this, this is honestly a testament to just how strong of a team this is. Because as far as draft goes, this is not even something crazy. It's just textbook, I pick this champion to deal with this champion. And somehow puzzle piece A has fit puzzle piece B, and it's just game #1.
Yeah, that's good analysis for sure. I'm curious to see how they're going to execute on this. Great team fighting from both teams throughout. So, and I think both these top laners are also quite good too. So probably won't see any significant gaps in lane. But who knows? It is the finals. We'll see how it goes. Game #1 is underway. Conduit mid-note Riven versus XSV Dusk for the finals. It is a best of 5, but you want to start off on a great starting point. If you can win game #1, you're ready, closing in on that 3-game winning series. And we'll see what they do anything here. With the shorter timers before the minion spawn, not much cheese can really happen in the jungle these days.
Yeah, not so much in terms of the cheesing. We're not going to be seeing the handshake on the wards either. Over here, instead it's just the jungle ward handshake. We do have a little bit of extra gold onto Jack, a little bit less extra gold on to the side of Conduit mid-note Riven. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe Conduit mid-note Riven just immediately lose off of the off of the gold differential.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. Bot lane skirmishing should be interesting. A lot of healing, a lot of range from both of them too, especially with the Milo skills extending some of that range to kind of match the poke of the Varus. It is going to be the lethality poke Varus composition, which makes a lot of sense. Not really any tanks on the side of Conduit, so this extra damage can be quite nice. And
now, Caleb, I do understand that it is a very standard poke Varus here, right? And honestly, into Emilio, I think poke Varus is absolutely absolutely the way to go, right? If you stand close enough to try to go for crit or on hit, there's just a lot of ways for Milio to say, no, my AD carry will do more than yours. That being said, this is a barrier Varus, right? I mean, barrier into Ashe is something that's not a common thing. A lot of the time, the name of the game is you take cleanse, you handshake the lane, you say, I don't want to die to Enchanted Crystal Arrow each and every time it's up. But unless Spring Roll can find a way how to finish a Mikhail's Crucible, you know, at level 6, I don't think we're going to be seeing very much pressure coming out from the spot lane the moment that the Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes online.
Yeah, and so far,
Ashe, on the other hand, has that cleanse.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's just not a lot of ways to CC this Ashe, right? Especially in the late game as well, with the Breath of Life and the cleanse on top of it. Speaking of which, too, there's some CC on the side of Dusk, but not a ton, particularly in this bot lane, as maybe some engaged supports might have. So we'll kind of see how they play this out too. Jack versus Efron, though. Efron taking the better of these trades so far.
Yeah, I mean, Efron may be taking the better of these trades, but that hawk shot from the Ashe also shows that the entirety of Viego's top side is gone. So Midnight has been getting quite the tough tracking, I guess would be the way to put it. As a jungler, there's just nothing more annoying than having to deal with an Ashe on the enemy team, because if your opponent has map hacks, literally what is the point of playing jungle?
Yeah, well, luckily the map has a slight cooldown on it, so could be even worse in some situations. But yeah, Como roaming over to this mid lane, but Jack pretty close to turret, so not much going to happen. Meanwhile, Midnight here for the top gang. Flash forward from Icarus, trying to close the gap already, but Noodle's going to flash away as well. And flash for flash on the top side does get him to safety, though. So no first blood yet, as both teams are still playing this as carefully as they can.
Flash for flash, we've seen 3 recalls being channeled all at once, but remember, it is Icarus who has the teleport available. So this wave might not be in the best spot for the Ornn, is going to be forced to TP, but at the very least, Noodles for 2, not going to be losing out on so much. The wave will be in the tower, but should very much be back in time to deal with it. In the meantime, Como going to immediately capitalize on that, taking that Gromp. The smite goes over to Midnight, and we're already seeing the Battle of the Junglers go very, very sillily.
Yeah, you love to see it too. And this is the matchup that I was really excited to see too. We'll see kind of how that goes. Obviously, Viego has a little bit more carry potential than Wukong, but Wukong could definitely make some plays for the rest of the team. But overall, nothing too crazy. Slight CS lead for Noodles on that top side. Noodles, fantastic top lane player, so nothing to be not expected here, as level 6 is not ready yet. But if Noodles hits it, Icarus can be in a tough position. Icarus, though, taking some decent trades against the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few moments where you see Icarus, missing out on the auto on the brittle. A few moments where Icarus does dodge out on that Q. But right here, the big question is, how consistently can you win out on these trades against a manaless champion with built-in sustain, right? Mordekaiser versus Ornn is one of those matchups where, as far as the laning goes, Mordekaiser's honestly not a huge Ornn counter, right? Ornn can just rush something along the lines of a Canic Rookern or, an Abyssal Mass. There's just a lot of different ways for Ornn to survive into the Mordekaiser and honestly do a lot of damage in the trades. But the big thing is, once the team fights come around, Mordekaiser just stops Ornn from actually being able to impact the team fights, right? If the flash isn't, fully... Okay, hold on. Speaking of commitments, no commitment in the mid lane for the side of XSV Dusk. It's actually Efron who commits the shockwave and gets punished for it.
Yeah, defensive shockwave use, but looks like Dusk does not take the bait, neither the jungler or the mid laner. But Efron at least survives with a full health bar for the most part. Doesn't have to flash or anything, so maybe not too bad. Have a cooldown, as Noodles going to be quite low here, and Icarus going to call the Forge God. Can you land the skills? No, and it's going to be Noodles picking up that first blood in this top 1v1, but here comes Midnight for the additional backup. Midnight might be able to clean up this top lane. Meanwhile, they're skirmishing on this bot side as well, as Outrage going to take a good chunk of damage from Slifer. Barrier going to be popped since Slifer is quite low. Spring Roll going for the chase down, ignoring the Amelia and forcing the flash out from Slifer. Meanwhile, Killer Fox trying to run for and buy a little bit of space for the Ashe. And so far, nothing used besides summoner spells in this bot lane, but they do get to safety. And somehow Noodle survives the gank from Midnight.
Yeah, not only does Noodles manage to survive that gank, Midnight ends up burning the ult, burning the flash. I mean, no matter what happens, this Mordekaiser continuing to reign supreme. Let's see how much gold this man's got under his belt. That is much closer to a Rylai's Crystal Scepter than I think Icarus wants to be dealing with. In the meantime, Dragon going down means even more tanky stats on that Mordekaiser that just bought a decent amount of HP and AP. So this is getting even tougher for that Ornn.
Right, Slifer taking a good chunk of damage. Going to have to back to safety for now as Jack going to pull the wave a bit. This mid lane, Shockwave doing a ton of damage, forcing the flash out from Jack, and the flash forward from Efron picking up a kill. Aggressive place from the Orianna, punishing Jack for trying to pull the wave a little bit away from the turret. Grabbing the flash and the kill on top is massive for Efron.
Yeah, but right now, we have to look at bot lane once again, right? We got 2 level 6 champions on the side of XSV Dusk. Meanwhile, Killer Fox does not have access to that ultimate yet. And Amelia ult is the reason why this champion is picked into the Varus, into the Seraphine, right? Extremely, extremely powerful champion in that regard. Enchanted Crystalaire, on the other hand, going to be going down in top lane. And here comes Como.
And Cyclone going to be used to stop Icarus in his tracks. Noodles picking up another kill with the assistance from Como, the jungler. And things are looking great if you're a Conduit fan. 3-0 to start. And of course, a tough draft to play into in the late game as well. And they're doing good. And I mean, look at the bot lane too as well. Look at the CS lead for Slifer. So all lanes kind of winning. Maybe outside the jungler matchup where Como does, or Midnight, I should say, does have a decent CS lead, but I think you would trade that any day for winning lanes for your jungler.
I mean, winning lanes is one thing, but taking up the grubbies, taking up the dragon, if you're in a ranked game, right, do you want your jungler to have a CS lead by, around, let's say, 17 CS, or do you want to have every objective on the map, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trade deal, right?
Well, in my ranked games, it's usually there's no CS lead and we don't have any objectives on top of it. So at least something going well for Dusk, but not too much in this early game as Noodles already a level advantage, 2-0 lead to start, and Rylai's almost completed up soon.
Yeah, I mean, once that Rylai's does finish up, Noodles is going to have a very, very fun time in that top lane, is what you would think. Right? Because a lot of the times when you see a Mordekaiser without teleport finish up an item as big as Rylai's, you start seeing the jungler come top. You start seeing the support come top. You start seeing the mid laner come top. Right? Mordekaiser's ult might be a case of 1v1 me, bro. Top lane certainly isn't, right? Especially when it comes to competitive play, right? Every single time that you think to yourself, okay, well, I have a 1v1 available to me. Remember, you're playing comp here, right? This isn't solo queue. Your opponent does have teammates. If you win your lane a little too hard, you're going to start attracting a little bit of attention up there. In the meantime, Icarus attracting a little bit of attention from this Mordekaiser, just building in the middle of the lane.
Yeah, and honestly, that attention would pay off favorably for Conduit as well. Just means more objectives being taken, maybe more turrets being taken as well. But so far, no attempts. I mean, I think there's only been one attempt to gank Noodles, has not panned out as well for Midnight. So this is not looking great for the start of Dusk, but they do have late game scaling, and here comes a gank onto Efron. Efron going to use a shockwave, landing onto 2 members. Might get out to safety. No, and the shutdown does go over to the Viego. Midnight going to enjoy that one. Arrow goes wide. Oh, wait, speaking of which, no, it's not going to land on the top side. It's arrow hitting the wrong top lane champion. But they finally get a kill. They're on the board, and the gold differential evening up a little bit. We do have the looters complete up for Efron, though. So still a little bit more ahead in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like these enchanted crystal arrows, right? The kill coming in for Midnight, very, very good, especially going onto the Viego and not onto the Azir, which is phenomenal, right? The Viego needs gold in order to stay relevant. If the Viego can't do damage, what's the point in having a Viego? I say this, but the biggest question is, what is the point of having the Ashe, right? Your opponent doesn't have cleanse. Your opponent doesn't have a way how to clear off the stun coming in from Enchant Crystal Arrow. And you're still trying to use it for these cross-map plays. In the meantime, Icarus and Noodles going toe-to-toe under the tower. That's a lot of damage.
And Noodles going to get taken down, taking way too many tower shots. And that's a nice shutdown going over to Icarus on the Ornn. Definitely some breathing room that he needed. And hey, he earned that one himself too. Noodles really pushing for that first turret. But unfortunately, just a little bit short, and he's going to have to pay for it with his own life.
Yeah, pays for it with his own life, pays for it with the dragon as well, with the teleport as a potential threat. They are not going to be contesting this whatsoever. In the meantime, Noodles at the very least does have that teleport available, almost certainly will burn it towards that top lane, even though it's not really going to be able to net you much of any minions. So in the end, manages to get to the top lane, gets to the even wave state, and shoving that one in. Now, will you get there quickly enough in order to help out your jungler?
Oh, Como by himself right now, doesn't have additional assistance, but can get out with the Hextech Gates. It is indeed a Hextech Soul for this first game. Outrage going to be stunned up and getting kited down. Outrage going to be cleansed away from the ultimate slifer, even burning the flash for some little style points, maybe not necessary, as the autos were enough to secure the kill. Another kill going back over to Conduit. Meanwhile, they take the turret on the top side on top of it, which is huge. And gold shifting back over to the side of Conduit, despite a few kills going over to Dusk. And now this looks like it's going to be a lot of free plays. No one here really for additional assistance. However, Springroll doing a great job of clearing out this minion wave to reduce some of that plate gold going over to the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, Springroll, she's doing her best. But, Caleb, we've gone through an entire season of Ashe Seraphine, and you're telling me that they still haven't learned rule number 1 of playing against Ashe. Take cleanse into Ashe. It's 4 words. It's very simple. It's a single button press. I don't care if it's on D. I don't care if it's on F. I don't care if you bind it to some random crazy other key on your keyboard controller, Guitar Hero guitar. I don't care. What I care about is the fact that you have some way to deal with this champion CC, right? Enchanted Crystal Arrow is the champion, right? If the Ashe hits you with that ultimate, you have the enemy jungler on you. You have the 2v2 that you immediately lose. There's just so many downsides to not taking cleanse in this lane. The only way that you can feasibly not take cleanse is if you have someone who can deal with it, like a Milio or a Tom Kench, or if you just never interact.
Yeah, maybe some pressure for Springroll to build the Mikhails as soon as possible, because Outrage going to need some of that cleansing power some way, shape, or form. But, you know, the bot lane of Conduit feeling good about that one for sure, as Midnight is there for some additional assistance, but probably not going to look to push too much. Meanwhile, there's 3 members strong on this top side for Conduit. Oh, wait, Outrage actually goes down somehow in the 2v3. And that's massive for the side of Conduit yet again. I believe it was another Enchanted Crystal Arrow that pulled that off, because looking at the cooldowns.
I'm looking at the cooldowns. I see Milia ult is down. I see Seraphine ult is down. I see Varus ult is down. I see that Ashe ult is down. I wonder what happened, right? I'm going to do my best to not rant about this the entire game, but man, you have to be doing your due diligence. This is finals, right? You can't be learning your lessons in the middle of finals, but at the very least, as long as you can learn them during the series, you will be put into a good position. In the meantime, Conduit, Midno, Riven in a very, very good spot here. They've gotten every objective on the map. They've also picked up the Rift Herald. They picked up the first dragon. They did not pick up the second dragon, but the question is, who is going to be in the better position come 90 seconds from now? I am certain it's going to be Conduit, Midno, Riven. I do like the Luden's Echo on the Orianna. Blackfire Torch versus Luden's Echo is a mathematics debate. Technically speaking, Blackfire Torch is better, but at the very least, the intention to build damage is there. Efron, on the other hand, going to be taking a lot of damage here.
All right, Efron going down to half health, does burn the flash to get out to safety. So is going to be a-okay for that one, but that's a crucial summoner spell gone. And again, Midnight with the assistance to give a little bit of space for that Azir. Meanwhile, Icarus going to buffer the Death Scraps with the Bell's Breath. And his top laners, they're just continue to skirmish, but it's going to be a little bit hard to kill this Ornn now with the Canic Worker completed. Next Drake is spawning soon. And looks like we might have ourselves a potential 5v5 fight. We'll see how it goes. As teleport is available for both top laners, so they can join at a minute's notice.
Yeah, might be able to join a minute's notice. And that's QW coming in from the Orianna might not necessarily have stopped the full-on recall, but I think it did actually stop the home guard. So we're going to be seeing Viego get back to lane a little bit later. There's the arrow.
Enchanted Crystal landing massively onto Jack, followed up with the Cyclone and the Shockwave. Just too much CC for the Azir to get away from. Icarus has to flash out under his own turret to do anything there but survive. Rift Herald going to crash into the turret as well. This is the perfect space that Conduit needs, and looks like Noodle's going to take the scenic route with the Rift Herald. Maybe try to crash in bot wave. Let's see how good these driving skills are. 84 HP left on this Rift Herald. Can you stop it? I think you probably can. Oh, wait, actually just going to crash into the jungler instead, but crashes into a 1v2. Going to pull the Varus into his death realm, and Noodles picks up a kill on top of it. Things are completely going out of control here for Conduits as they pick up the Drake, kills, turrets, and go up 4K gold in this first game.
You've heard of throwing everything and the kitchen sink. What about robbing everything and the kitchen sink? That was insane coming in from Conduit mid, no Riven. It's just play after play after play, and all of it textbook, right? None of this is stuff where you see super creative plays coming through. It's just, hey, we got the kill. Hey, we got the arrow. Hey, we got the herald. And so then we have a little bit of branch off from there, right? Instead using Shelly to go for the kills rather than going straight for the actual tower. And a little bit of, variation there. But for the most part, it's just Conduit Minnow Riven understanding the strengths of their composition and playing to it, right? They're not having to get super creative with it, and they're very much flourishing for it.
Yeah, I will say Noodles' Rift Herald piloting was decently creative. I actually wasn't really sure what he was going for there. Skipped the turret completely, opted for the Varus kill instead. And hey, you know what? That worked out quite well for him, as he's now 4-1-0. The one death really just being taking a lot of turret aggro with Icarus CCing him up. But this Mordekaiser is going to be pretty scary. Riftmaker completed up as well. And Noodles is going to be CC'd up a ton on this turret, but the turret aggro is not on top of the Mordekaiser, so can walk this off for safety for now, but already below half health. You can see Como is in the area for potentially a tower dive, but this is a Ornn, and I don't think it's going to be the easiest champ to kill under turret. However, Kill Fox is here too. Maybe they really want to commit to this one.
I'm not too sure about how much I want to commit to it, but look at Slifer's positioning, right? You have the Ashe in the river, looking at the potential of that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. You do see some of the minions, some of the jungle camps really start to get moved around. We're just going to lose out on all of the fog of war on the map because we want to just take a quick look at that Baron. But let's take a quick look at some of these items, right? So a lot of what Noodle for 2 has been doing is itemizing for that 1v1, right? You have the Rylai's, you have the Riftmaker, you have a lot of AP, you have a lot of health, a lot of sticking power, right? And that's what allows this Mordekaiser to continue to threaten this Ornn. Now, one thing I would love to see, right, is not that actual. I was about to say, I'd love to see skipping the Liandry's, because don't get me wrong, Liandry's is a wonderful item on Mordekaiser if you're 1v1ing the Ornn. Now, the big thing is you have to understand you are playing a competitive match, or will eventually be in a team fight, and if you're not planning on ulting just the Ornn every single fight, then, I mean, I guess, 1, you're probably doing it wrong. 2, at the very least, you can get a lot of value out of the advent of an early Bloodletter's Curse. I know that a lot of, higher level teams have been opting for the early Bloodletter's Curse. Actually, we're seeing a little bit of, cursing going on in this top lane. If you're Jack, you might be expected to say a lot of unsavory things in all chat after everyone comes up to you just like that.
Yeah, but Midnight is there for the backup in case a dive was going to be had, and unfortunately that was not the case. So able to get out to safety. Meanwhile, Icarus just trying to hold it down against this Mordekaiser who's just perma pushing. And I think Noodles' strategy is, you know what? I can't really kill you very easily, but you can't really kill me, so I'll just grab as many plates and turrets as I can while you sit there and try to weather the storm. Meanwhile, a lot of members of Dusk in this river bush. Let's see if they're going to be caught out or not. They're looking for a potential gank, but maybe Conduit is a little suspicious of it. And now Jack going to poke his head out, so Cypher knowing to back up here. But so far, I mean, it's been tough for Dusk, right? I mean, they've got a few pickoffs here. I'm just two to be specific, but meanwhile, it's really just been Conduit running this game.
Yeah, it has been Conduit running this game. I mean, it's just like what you said, right, Caleb? In this bot lane, a lot of it has been Noodles just slamming on Icarus with that Mordekaiser counterpick and just doing everything that he can to try to get a huge lead here. But Icarus still managing to find ways how to hold on, right? It's still an Ornn. It's still a very tanky champion. You've heard of everything you can do, I can do better. This is everything you can do, I can deal with somehow. Enough. Right? But not much more than that. Like, Icarus is in such a tough spot here. It's not even supposed to be the hard lane encounter. The big question is, how are you actually going to team fight? And Chanted Crystalero does manage to land onto Jack, but we're not going to be seeing much more involvement than that here. At the very least, barrier not going to be too much of a question. This Baron, however, does go down very fast.
Yeah, Noodles is in the area, though, so could potentially do something here as the Hawkshot is going to spot out the Baron, and now they're going to grab up the Hexatrick and try to engage on this. Icarus going to call the Forge God, only knocking up the Melio, though. Maybe not too much value. Even flashes forward to try to stun up the Melio, but Baron has been pulled off for now as Noodles goes for death scraps to try to grab Icarus. Not going to be the case. Jack was the first to fall. Here comes the flash forward Cyclone from the Wukong, and Slifer going to be on a kill spree after that one goes down. Icarus running for his life. It's just 3 members left on the side of Dusk, and that means that's going to be a pretty free Baron for Conduit, who has continued to snowballing their lead. Over 5k gold difference now, and they're looking to close out this game after this Baron.
I mean, that was such a wonderful display of team fighting coming in from Conduit mid-node Riven. Cypher with a beautiful flash away from that, Shurima shuffle there. And just again and again, this team just shows off their team fighting prowess, their ability to play the map. I honestly love the call from XSV Dusk to say, hey, you know what? They're going for the dragon. It'll be fine. We have Varus, we have Viego, we have this, Azir that just does so much damage. We should be able to burn down this Baron, but despite that call, it just wasn't quite fast enough in terms of the DPS value, right? I mean, Varus still doesn't have the completed, Muramana, so you're just not going to be able to do nearly enough to take down this Baron. But in the end, Baron goes over to Conduit mid-node Riven. The lead has been firmly in their grasp for quite a while. We have not managed to cross the 10k horizon yet, though.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of tough for Dusk right now, right? 'Cause I don't think they really have a lot of damage in their composition, and you kind of need that damage for Viego to get any of those resets off. And even though Midnight hasn't even died in these fights, unfortunately, no one's really died at all in any team fight from Conduit. So that just zeros resets for Viego, and a lot of his kit just out the window. Meanwhile, everything from Conduit firing on all cylinders here as they're looking to grab another tier 2 turret, and now they're knocking on the doors of the inhibitor turret soon, and Como just going to grab up the jungle from Midnight as well. So things are looking tough. Not sure what the win condition is, as Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to land from downtown, and Outrage going to be hit with the Cyclone as well. Might get to safety though, and somehow does survive it all, so not too bad. Call to Vortex is going to be used as well. Let's see how many can we get knocked up here, as it is going to knock up the Ashe, but there's not enough follow-up damage, so Ultimate is used more so defensively than anything else, but that's a lot of resources gone. Meanwhile, Noodles just grabbing another turret by himself. That wasn't even a full 5v5 fight. And it just allows for some easy splitting from this Mordekaiser.
Forwards, Caleb. Forwards, Caleb. I don't even have to say it again. But I mean, Outrage does manage to survive due to the use of the Encore, due to the arrows coming in from this Varus. So, you know, you at the very least have some survival. There is no team fighting ultimate available for the side of XSV Dusk, though.
Yeah, a lot of resources spent on both sides, so that means a lot of ultimates go down. Here comes the shutdown. Here comes the resets. And Midnight is online, chasing after Efron as well. Let's see if Efron can get out there or not. Shockwave is not available, and this is the carry potential we saw in Midnight throughout the splits. That's going to be a triple for him and a ton of gold going back over. This game is far from over.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the old Mordekaiser strat. The more fed the opposing team is, the stronger a single kill will net you, right? If you can just get a hold of one of the carries on the enemy team, it's so much better. We've seen Midnight do so much work on this Viego through the entirety of the season, right? This Viego has been a point of power for XSV Dusk again and again and again. But the biggest question is, are you actually going to be able to hold on for long enough that you can make up the difference in this gold lead, right? The Ornn does get closer and closer to making up that difference with those masterwork items, but the longer that you do go, right, the longer that this gold lead's still going to end up suffocating your team out.
Yeah, that's right. And now 3-0-1 on this Viego. I believe at least 3.5 items as well. So definitely can punish opponents if they find the right position. But let's see if they can execute on these team fights or not. If Call for Shots is going to be used early here, it's going to knock up 2 members, followed up with the Encore. Slifer goes down instantly. That's a massive pick off here. And now the restarts are continuing, but Midnight is going to go drop quite a bit in health as goes into the Death Realm, and Noodles is going to be the one that takes out Midnight. A lot of damage now missing. However, the fight is continuing as Cyclone is going to knock up multiple members. Noodles flashing forward, trying to grab a kill. Does grab one, continues to survive somehow, still hangs on. Death grabs is not going to land. And Outrage trying to chase down, but Emilio is going to buy the space for Noodles to survive. Overall, it was a 2-for-1 in favor of Conduit, but more importantly, they take out Midnight to slow down the snowballing potential in these fights. And this is going to be Hextech Soul for them.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a potential opportunity to get back into the swing of things, a potential moment to put yourself in a position where you can play for that comeback. But in the end, Noodles for 2 says, all right, that's cool. You got an Encore across the team. You got a Call of the Forge God across the team. I've got a Death Realm with Midnight's name on it. And that Viego does not have nearly enough damage to take out that Mordekaiser, nearly enough magic resist to survive that 1v1. And despite it being under an Azir tower, it's not going to be nearly enough supplemental damage to do enough to stop this game. We're gonna have to see just what this does turn into the longer the game goes, but it's looking more and more helpless for the side of XSV Dusk. That Zhonya's is getting closer and closer to completion for Noodles for 2, and imagine how much stronger the Bloodletter's Curse will be when it's finished up as that final item.
Yeah, and a beautiful ultimate from Noodles as well. The one person at Midnight probably cannot 1v1 on the entire side of Conduit, and slowing down that carry is exactly the role that Noodles is going to play in this late game, as Hextech Soul is going to make this game a lot harder to come back from, and they are lurking in the bushes here. Let's see if they're going to go for a flank or not, as the side of Dusk is pushed out quite far. They might be sandwiched between this turret and the team of Conduit if they're not careful, as the ward is going to spot out Spring Roll. Oh, Enchanted Crystal just going wide. Going to be okay, but they're kind of caught in a weird position here. Call of Forge God is going to be used maybe more defensively than anything else. This might just be a sacrifice for Icarus. He's not even going to use the second part of the skill, as he's going to still get out to safety somehow. And so maybe not too bad. They grab a turret out of it and don't lose any members.
Yep, no members lost is looking
Two
good,
turrets.
and getting another turret in this bot side. I mean, yes, this Baron will go down, but at the very least, you managed to pick up 2 objective bounties. You managed to pick up 2 towers. You got the wave pushed out. I mean, if you're XSV Dusk, I don't hate this, right? It's a matter of going for going for gold, right? Taking as much as you can without taking any big risk. You're already at such a deficit, but right now that you've got that gold, spend it on something, deathball someone, and take that risk, right? You have a way how to do enough damage to just take someone off the map immediately, and it's even higher value now that they do have the Baron. You just need to catch someone off guard. Mid lane would be a wonderful way to do it if the Milio didn't exist, but unfortunately the Milio does. So the biggest opportunity that you do have is finding a way how to either catch the Milio on a rotation, figure out a way how to cut Noodles off in a side lane, and make sure that that champion can't stall out for long enough with both the Zhonya's and the Death Realm. I mean, it's looking tough here, right? The biggest opportunity that XSV does have right now is get that jungle warded up, catch someone on a rotation, just death bush someone, make someone's life a living hell.
Yeah, Rabadon's is going to be completed onto Jack. Azir, been a decently quiet game for Jack so far, but with this Rabadon, definitely going to be start outputting some heavy damage. But Guardian Angel is completed for Como, so going to go for some maybe even more aggressive engages when possible. These ornaments are coming through, and even though Icarus is a few levels behind, it does still provide some value for the team. But 2 full items behind is not a great time, though, for this Ornn. However, I guess the best case scenario is in the Death Realm, at least more guys can only hit one member. As Call of Forge God is going to be used to initiate this fight, hits absolutely no one. Here comes Como flying in, but the resets are coming through from the Viego, and there comes the GA from the Wukong. They want to kill this Wukong as soon as possible, give another reset over to Midnight. Can they do it? They do, and Midnight is taking over the soul of Wukong. Slifer trying to cut it out, trying to survive, not going to be able to get away from Midnight's Viego. And Noodles, unfortunately, was not there for the fight, and they are punished for it. That's 3 members taken out completely. They might lose an inhibitor, but that might be a worthy trade, as now the gold differential only 1k difference. Yes, you might have Hextech Soul, but we got some ornaments on the side of Dusk, and they got a 6-1-2 Viego. They do pick up the inhibitor, though, from the minions, so slight W there, but probably not the best trade that they were looking for.
The thing is, as if you're looking for a consolation W when you're up 5,000 gold, right? That is a disaster of a play. That is so many shutdowns, and they all go down to Midnight's Viego, right? And we talked about how these junglers were so famed for their carry jungler playstyles. They're able to just take over the map. They're able to make life a living hell for the enemy jungler by virtue of being themselves, right? And now with all of that gold onto this Viego, it's going to be even easier to find a reset, even easier to find those crazy moments where the Viego just slams each and every one of the enemy team. In the meantime, Conduit, Riven grouping up, their understanding, well, this didn't work out for us. We got to make sure that they don't death push us, so we're going to death push them now that the Elder's coming up in less than 45 seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive fight. Expect all members to be there. GA is down to Como, so that's a huge cooldown that's gone. Meanwhile, Noodles just, being kind of a menace in this backside. But you got to be careful. I mean, Noodles is strong. However, maybe not strong enough to go for a 1v5. They have great position, though, in this jungle. But look at the gold differential. Actually, a gold lead for Dusk for once, for the maybe first time this entire game outside the first few minutes. And they are definitely catching up. However, they are facing a Hextech Soul and a huge, largely fed Mordekaiser. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to land onto the Zir, but not too bad, as Icarus going to miss the second part of Call of the Forge God. And now Noodles for 2, going to just smack around this Ornn. But that's not too bad, because Icarus is probably the one champion you don't mind being in that Death Realm. Encore going to land onto 3 or 4 members. But the fight is continuing, as it's just going to be the clone of the Wukong. And you can see the Hextech Soul really providing value as members are getting chunked away from this Hextech Soul. However, they have a little bit of healing from the Seraphine to provide them with a bit of sustain, but the health bars are still very full for Conduits. Do they go for a reset? It looks like Jack had to go back to clear the wave. TP is available, but so it is for Noodles, as Noodles' ultimate is down for time being.
2 resets, 2 TPs available, 2 more minutes until this team fight really brings this game to a close. Here comes the Cyclone.
And the TP comes through from Noodles on the other side, takes out the Seraphine. The restarts are coming through from Midnight, but Midnight's health is way too low. And unfortunately, Midnight does finally go down to Noodles, and Noodles is smacking them around. Jack is here for some additional assistance, but we'll have to go to safety as the turret is going to go down as well. And Icarus trying to body block for the mid laner, but this should be the Elder. Como is down though, so they have a chance to potentially steal. I don't think it's worth it because it could be just game over if they don't get the steal coming through. Efron going to TP as well for some guaranteed assured measure on this Elder. They gotta wait this out, but the Baron buff is starting to deplete soon, so at least they don't have to fight both Baron, Soul, and Elder. But this is still going to be a very uphill battle as level 20 on Noodles looks pretty much unkillable at this point.
I mean, that's what you say, Caleb. Baron's coming up in less than 10 seconds. If there's anything that you have to worry about right now, it is that Elder plus Baron, right? Because unless you're planning on fighting them on the Baron while they have that Elder buff, that is absolutely a Baron being taken here. That is absolutely a terrifying position to find yourself in if you are XSV Dust. They don't even have a way to scout this one out. All of the blue trinkets are down, so they're going to have to walk into this map blind.
Yeah, and Mordekaiser's going to be completely full build now, level 20, as Como going in for the Enchanted Crystal Arrow does land, and Midnight goes down to the Cyclone Enchanted Crystal Arrow combination, and that should be game as they're looking to secure this Baron, and without Midnight for another 50 seconds, that's going to be a long time for the most fed member to be dead here. And this Baron is getting absolutely shredded from the side of Conduit, and it's looking like Noodles going to push down this top lane. This might be their path to victory. They still have the Elder buff as well. This is Exodia right now. I mean, you got the Hextech Soul, Baron, and the Elder. Icarus not going to be able to land the second part of Call of the Forge God and starting to burn down quickly. Bell's Breath going to be used to buffer the Death Grip, but still has to flash out, and so much damage coming through, but they're still hanging on. The healing from Seraphine is massive.
No Midnight.
As the shuffle is going to push the Wukong further away, but their just health bars are way too full, the healing way too strong, and they are just not doing the damage they need. One final turret remains. Hold on, Efron goes down somehow to Outrage.
The inhib.
As the inhib is going to respawn, slowing down the defense, and here comes Midnight. Midnight might be able to put on one last stand. Noodle's going to be quite low, and we get the shutdown going over to Midnight, not going down without a fight, and they somehow hold it down here on minute 38, facing Elder, Soul, and Baron.
And something reminiscent of DRX versus Gen G. It is a beautiful defense coming in from XSV Dusk. Midnight still looking for more. Greedy as he is, you have to play for greed right here, right? You're down only 2,000 gold, but you're down almost both Nexus Towers. It's so close here. That was Elder. That was Baron. That was the game in their hands, but in the end, there's just not enough damage, not enough time to actually end it all. The inhib respawns at the perfect time. Efron caught under the tower, expecting it to go down sooner rather than later, and Conduit mid no Riven forced to stay in this game a little bit longer. XSV Dusk still refusing to go quietly.
And that's a full build Viego with GA on top of it. Pretty much almost full build across the board. Outrage, Jack still have some items to complete, as well as actually everyone on the team outside of Midnight, I would say. But the gold differential is narrowing quite a bit. And, you know, at this point, the gold differential doesn't even matter as much, as a lot of the gold is probably on Noodles, who can't even spend any more of it, even if he wants to. They're looking for some picks here, though, in the jungle, and they're going to have to be careful, as Noodles is pretty strong, and one ultimate can just end one carry's life and maybe end the game, as they're looking to push out this bottom wave. They still have the Baron buff for another 20-ish seconds, but Elder is gone. 2 more minutes until the next Elder spawns, though. They probably don't want the game to even go on for that long, as the ornaments have been completed for all the champions, and the items are there. It is easy to siege, or sorry, I should say it's hard to siege going into Zazir and Varus combination. They're going to get a little bit of damage on this turret, but not too much. And now Dusk actually feeling like they can't fight back here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly a little bit surprised that they're going for a 5-0 composition. They're not going for the 1-4 split. They're instead just opting to put every single person down into the spot lane. The Baron buff isn't even available anymore, and that's just going to be one tower taken down to a little under half health. Nothing more than that, though. And in the end, what is it that we're going to be seeing from these teams, right?
Yeah,
There's always the possibility of just one big team fight the later a game goes.
And the Hextech Soul is really just chipping down the health, but the healing from Spring Roll is keeping the health bars topped off as we have about a minute before Elder, and looks like all members of Conduit going to retreat, buy some final items for this potential final fight. It has come down to this. Game number 1 in the finals, 40-plus minute banger so far, and looking for even more here as the second Elder is about to spawn. Lanes are getting pushed out. TPs are available, and items are going to be completed up for Dusk. And this is the thing, right? I mean, they have a lot of late game potential as well, and they're finally getting to that point.
Yeah, I mean, we even have a Dusk and Dawn completed on Outrage here. Is Lethality Varus plus the Dusk and Dawn honestly an interesting option there? I would have loved to see something like a Serpent's Fang instead, but instead we do see the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Oh, and lands onto Azir. A massive pickoff, and Cyclone going to be used from Como to try to get rid of this Azir. Azir, one more auto from being killed, and Azir does go down. As meanwhile, it's going to be Midnight trying to do as much damage as possible to Noodles. GA is going to be popped, but Noodles is quite low. However, not low enough, gets healed back up, and it's going to be an ace, and that's going to be game number 1 going over to Conduits. It took them a while to get there, and does fall back hard, but in 40-plus minutes, they do secure this first game.
They're taking that second inhib just to make sure there's no more shenanigans. But shenanigans aside, there is nothing crazy here. No tricks, no tomfoolery, just business. Game number 1 under their belt. Conduit mid, no Riven going to be taking the lead in the series.
Well, the good news for XSV Dusk is there's no other chance they'll see Emilio in the next few hours. So, because that was not a fun time in some of those fights. They did play as well as they could, right? Given the draft composition they had, but I'd say the draft was definitely more in favor of Conduit. It was just easier for them to play the games, right? Nothing too crazy they had to do. The Shockwave, the Cyclone, everything was solid and easy to land. And of course, speaking of landing things, Enchanted Crystal Arrow really set off a couple of those pickoffs, which was massive, right? Jack getting complete, taken out right off the bats, and then instantly you have a 5v4, make it a 6v4 once Emilio starts popping those abilities and healing everyone up. But that's going to be Conduit with a very strong performance in that first game. Dusk, though, showing signs of life and showing ways to fight back despite the really bad positions they were in throughout the game. But they made that one a banger.
Oh, yeah. Might be a banger for game number 1, but only thing that we have guaranteed here is bangers the whole way through. So don't go anywhere because we're going to be coming back with game number 2 in just a moment.
Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports. We are in the finals of Divinity League. It's Conduit mid-note Riven versus XSV, Dusk, and Conduit did take the first game in this best of 5, but we got at least 2 more games to go, and if they keep going like that, we might have 4 more games to go. I'm Caleb Payne. I'm joined with Anti. How you feeling after that first game?
Honestly, if I'm gonna be completely and totally candid with you, Caleb, I was genuinely very pleasantly surprised by how good of a fight XSV Dusk put up, right? Because Conduit mid-note Riven had a phenomenal composition, right? It was a counterpick to multiple of their champions. And when I say counterpick, I mean, this is the textbook counterpick. Like, you see this, you pick this. You see fire, you pick water, right? We're not even going crazier with it. We're not throwing in like extra types like grass or, anything that could be remotely more silly. But instead, despite having that direct one-to-one counterpick again and again, we saw XSV Dusk manage to put up fights despite being almost 10,000 gold down at times, right?
Yeah.
And this team, as we've seen, has the resilience it needs to take it to the entire 5 games. So 1 game is not the end of a series. There's still very, very many different ways how to make this one happen. But game number 1, as far as the drafting goes, easily a Conduit mid-note Riven diff.
Definitely. And Dusk, I mean, if anything you could take away from it as a Dusk, if you're a Dusk fan, is they made it close, and they even got a gold lead at some point in the late game, right? I think it was like right before Elder or something like that, which is kind of wild.
It was 100 gold, but it was a gold lead.
It was 100 gold. We'll take 100 gold over the 5k gold plus that they were down by at some points. But
100 gold plus ornaments.
Plus ornaments
gets evened out by the Hextech Souls. So.
Yeah, and maybe
gold lead
unkillable Mordekaiser, but we'll see how that goes for game number 2. Before we get into game number 2, though, I believe we have some awards to close out the split for the winter season of Divinity League. And here we go. As you can see here, News for 2 going to be on the All-Pro side of things. First team All-Pro. Most valuable player is going to be Midnight, who, I think if you just watch his gameplay in just the last game, you understand why. But we got Blocky Panda in the mid lane. Big news for GCC Street Fighters, and then Killer Fox for Cuties. 2 rounds. Or no, sorry, not Cuties. For Conduit mid-note Riven, who was doing a ton of healing for the team and really changed the fights. You can see all the other respective players. I got 2nd All-Pro and 3rd All-Pro. So a lot of Conduit mid-note Riven members there as we get Como on the jungler side of the 2nd All-Pro team. So just a little bit behind Midnight, but hey, I think he'll take the series win over the MVP awards any day if it comes to it. But still has 2 more games to make that happen.
We did see that Viego already do tons and tons of work in game number 1, but we're not going to be seeing that in game number 2, 3, or potential 4 or 5, because as we've said time and time again, is Fearless, right? Thankfully, Fearless is a wonderful tournament format, so we're not going to be seeing any more Seraphine, any more Varus, Ashe. You can actually see all the champions taken off the table in the bottom of the screen. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. Mel is a good champion when all of the divers are taken off the table. Having Mel as a must ban in the early stages of the drafting phase is a telling sign that you don't have a way to deal with it. So it doesn't just say, we don't have a way to deal with your Mel. It says we don't have a way to build super heavy dive, right? We don't have a way to threaten a Kaisa Nautilus. We don't have a way to threaten the Vi straight to the back line in the same way that's a necessity to deal with these super strong backline DPS champions. So in the end, we have 1 to 2 jungle / top duo flexes taken off the table. Nami taken up on blue one side, another support B1 pick here. I actually don't hate this. She's one of the strongest supports on the patch. So right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Braum or a Karma. Well, Karma's banned, so I guess I would be a little surprised.
Yeah, I would be surprised too with that one. We get the Smolder Nautilus
Nautilus?
bot lane for the side of Conduit. There's a small chance that Smolder can't go into mid lane depending on what, if they want to flex or not. Maybe not the hardest mid lane to play, so maybe even if front does have a lot of reps on the Smolder, not too bad. It's going to be the Sivir Nami can be the pickup too, so hyper carry for hyper carry. But yeah, going to be hard to lock down the Sivir for sure. And we'll see kind of how they play it out here. But should be a good one too. And we get the Victor picked up in this mid lane. So probably not going to be a Smolder in the mid lane. You are going to get outranged quite a bit from that Victor.
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't want to be doing that. We already know that the Orianna's off the table. Maybe we see an Ahri. Actually, it's just going to be the Efron Hui. Okay, so it's once again just standard. We see the hyper carry on one side. We're responding with a hyper carry on the other. We see the control mage on one side, we're responding with a control mage on the other, taking all the top laners off the table now. And a lot of the time when you do see the mid lane picks coming in on red 3, you do it blind, so that way you can ban away some of their potential counters, so that way the blue 4 and 5 don't just immediately make their life a living hell here. So instead, we're going to be taking away Cassante, we're going to be taking away Nafiri, you know, these backline diving champions that you don't really want to be dealing with, or at the very least these champions that can disrupt the front line enough that the back line is accessible, right? And against a team with a Sivir, you definitely don't want those available. Shen also going to be taken off the table, making sure that this way is going to be accessible somehow or another. Mundo going to be taken here. I think it's more of a takeaway to make sure that you don't have the backline diving potential of that Mundo. And the blind Aatrox almost certainly will be responded to with, you know, some kind of bruiser on the top lane. I'd be surprised to see a Scion in response.
Oh, it's going to be Lilia. Okay. I mean, unlikely Lilia top. So going to be very likely just going to be that Icarus on that top lane with Aatrox. But there's a lot of flex potential with this Mundo. And it looks like it is going to be a Mundo jungle with an Urgot on that top lane. So some good skirmishing right there. I think we saw a pretty good Urgot last week from Noodles as well.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say for half a second, I was like, there's a small chance it could be a Nautilus top, which, you know, sometimes can have some play, but not going to be the case for this game.
Not into Aatrox. Not into
Aatrox. Yeah, not into Aatrox either. That would not be great. I haven't seen a Lily in a hot second though. So, you know, but if you could set up some good sleeps, especially onto the Smolder, the Hui, you could really get some pickoffs. But there is a beefy front line from Conduits, and really they just want to front line as much as possible, give Slifer as much room and peel so that he can start pumping out the damage and getting those stacks. In the late game, it doesn't look great for Dusk, but I mean they have a lot of late game utility still. The Victor and Sivir obviously very strong in the late game. There's a lot of frontline and melee champs for Conduit, so the Sivir could be definitely eating good in some certain situations.
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about Sivir is that as long as you can auto someone on the front line, you're hitting the back line, right? Because those ricochets just do so much damage, and at the very least, on the hunt, will do so much work at enabling this Lilia. If you can get that Aatrox, if you can get that Lilia in a position where they can threaten the backline somehow or another, this game just blows wide open. I actually love this composition from XSV Dusk. The tidal wave will also make it much more difficult to play the standard front to back if you're Conduit mid-no Riven, but at the very least, right, what Conduit, Minnow, Riven lack in backline access, they make up for in their own backline damage, right? Smolder and Hui are two ridiculously strong champions when it comes to that backline artillery damage, just able to tear through the beefiest of front lines. And there's not a very beefy front line on the side of XSV Dusk. If you're asking me, I think that this game gets blown open by a 25-minute fight, and whoever takes the lead by that point just ends the game in one big team fight in 10 more minutes.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one for sure. And I couldn't personally like Conduit's draft a little bit more. Not only do you have the Smolder for the super hyper carry, but the problem is everyone on the team of Conduit can do damage outside of maybe Killer Fox. So even if you somehow take out the Smolder, maybe take out the Hui, you still have a lot of damage potential on the Urgot and the Dr. Mundo. I believe Como ran to Dr. Mundo last week too, and we saw already how much he could carry on that champion. So gonna be interesting to see how it goes. Dusk definitely wants to end this game sooner than later so that they don't have to deal with a super stacked up Smolder with also a super beefy front line.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to be dealing with that, but man, everyone on the side of XSV Dusk is so skinny today. You know, these hooks are just not going to be landing, neither are any of the bone cleavers. But right now, after losing out on that early priority in the bot lane, you're just going to have to give it up until level 2 comes around. In the meantime, top lane is all a matter of surviving for the Urgot. Level 1, one of the strongest champions in the game, as long as your E is up and still has the threat of hitting your opponent. The moment you whiff that E, you might as well be the weakest top lane champion in the game. Right, so Noodles for 2 has to hold on to it, has to continually threaten it, and has to make sure that you're not getting early ganks by the Lilia, because both these top laners are dealing with junglers that say, I don't care about your lane, I'm clearing top to bot.
That's right. And you can see the ricochets are coming through and actually chunking Slifer a little bit too. If you don't land any of these hooks, it is going to be definitely on a slightly harder lane, but Slifer just wants to stack up as much as possible. CS will be important a little bit, but not as crucial, I would say, compared to it being for Sivir.
Yeah, I mean, CS on Smolder is a nice number, but it's a little bit secondary to the number that is the stat count, right? And that stat count is Smolder's win condition, just surviving as much as possible. And speaking of stat counts, we got this Victor just stacking up in terms of the damage, stacking up in terms of the evolution points. And if you can get to those later evolution stages as Victor, you can start to make life a living hell for your opposing laner. But in the meantime, that E landing gets that flip over, and all of a sudden Icarus might be on the offensive.
Oh, but here comes the Qs coming in. Darkened Blade going to do a lot of healing. The flash forward, but the double ignite being dropped as well. And Noodles barely hanging on, probably with single-digit health bars at that point. Icarus not afraid to take the fight to Noodles at all. Looking for some redemption after that first game and making good use of this Aatrox. And this top lane matchup should be pretty fun to watch back and forth here. Meanwhile, Como just going to help out by a little space for Efron, but Efron completely out of mana, so probably will have to TP back soon.
Yeah, is going to be out of mana, is going to be out of pressure, and you know, Como not going to try to contest that river whatsoever. The Scuttle Crab trade has been handshaken, and in the meantime, top lane, despite that near kill, it doesn't really mean much. Right, you do force it back, you do force a hook onto Jack here. This is actually very, very difficult for Jack. Isn't going to be able to get the wave the entire way in, and all of a sudden, this wave stage is terrible for Victor.
Yeah, great rotation from Killer Fox as well, knowing that Slifer is not in lane yet, so trying to buy a little bit of space for the ADC, for the mid laner, and the early Nautilus damage, despite being 2 levels down, still chunking Jack on the Victor.
Yeah, definitely chunking Jack there. I do have to say the burn on the Ghost is particularly important here because it means that Mundo and Nautilus have the opportunity to go in on this Victor, right? Makes it a possibility. The Mundo is scouted out by the ward, but here comes Killer Fox coming on back.
All right, Jack going to be sunned up and rooted and going to have to get away from it. Avoids the dredge line, which is huge. Otherwise, that would have been a certain death for the Victor as Flash was already burned. Meanwhile, Slifer just holding it down on him by himself in this bottom lane without the Nautilus there for assistance. So that's actually really, really good. Being even on CS with the Sivir in a 1v2, that's great news for Conduit because they're just getting so much value across the map outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, they're managing to get this push into the mid lane. They're able to get the full-on dragon started up here. I mean, this is almost certainly not going to be contested from the side of XSV Dusk. Instead, they're going to be looking towards this bot lane, trying to zone this Smolder out away from this cannon at the very least. But in the meantime, Slifer just going to say, yeah, I'm not dealing with that. I can get that stack whenever I want. But right now, I'm simply going to try to hold on to as much. Actually, never mind. -1. It's like an interruption of the monologue halfway through. It's just rude. You gotta let the man pick up those cannons.
Yeah, this is going to be the case as Efron does have the low advantage over Jack, but Efron almost out of mana. And so far, no kills across the board in this game. Slower start for sure, but just like last game too, both teams just playing as safe as they can. Maybe not these top laners, so they're just not getting kills against each other, but it's definitely been a contested, very contested top lane for sure. As
Oh yeah.
Como just going to try to farm up on this Mundo as much as possible. Maybe not going for any ganks yet. Well, speaking of ganks, actually maybe going for this gank on the spot lane. Let's see if
Level 6.
that's going to be what Como does. As meanwhile, there's a gank on the top lane as well, as Midnight is here for the assistance. Lullaby can be used, and it is going to be used. A few more autos should do it, and First Blood goes over to Midnight on the Lilia. Meanwhile, there's a gank on the spot lane, not nearly as successful as the other one from the side of Dusk. And Killer Fox almost goes down, but doesn't go quite yet. And a great defense from the side of SSV Dusk on their bot lane to prevent this gank. Only level 5 on that Mundo makes this dive a little bit harder.
Yeah, I mean, level 5 on the Mundo doesn't really have a way how to stop that Sivir, doesn't have a way to stop that Nami. But in the meantime, this top lane fight did so much work for the side of XSV Dusk. This Lilia might look like she's in trouble, but I don't really expect it to turn into much more until we're committing the ultimates. Fear Beyond Death. Going to be doing a lot of work.
Yeah, slowing up the Lilia, but Lilia going to slow things down a bit more. I don't know if they know if the Mundo's right here, as now Midnight getting caught out a bit. Oh, wait, it was actually sandwiched from Efron as well, too. I thought it was his own teammate. So, yeah, nowhere for Midnight to go. Maybe overstay the welcome a little bit. Red buff goes back over to the side of Conduit. And meanwhile, Jack going to be rooted up, and Efron landing the Spiraling Despair as well. There's just no way Victor gets out. Can you maybe get a kill back? No, not going to be the case, and the kill does go over to Jack. Great teamwork from Killer Fox to feed that kill over to his mid laner. And now 2-1 is the kill score for Conduits. Again, I mean, as long as they stay in this game, this late game looks for sure going to be theirs unless barring any significant teamfight pickoffs. So SFC Dust definitely playing on a timer in this game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say, right? I mean, the 5v5 front-to-back team fights are actually very, very good from the side of Conduit, Mundo, Riven. But into a team like this, whose entire plan is breaking up the standard 5v5 front-to-back team fights, I'm not too sure if it's going to be so cut and dry of a team just winning the flat-out team fights, right? It's a question of, can Midnight get that flank? Can Icarus just find a way how to slam that backline with the Aatrox, right? So much of this is going to rely on Killer Fox getting the vision in the right spots at the right time, going to rely on whether or not they have ways to stop this MVP jungler from just taking over the game. But the one kill that XSV Dusk have is on that Lilia, so we're already seeing the plays come to fruition. The question is, are you going to see the same sort of dominance when it comes to these neutral objectives that we saw in the last game, right? Como last time only dropped a single dragon. This time around hasn't dropped anything yet. Those grubbies are definitely looking mighty tasty, but the bot lane is where the focus is being placed.
And there is a slight CS lead in this bot lane for the Sivir, but Slifer hasn't died yet, is still stacking up pretty well. I think last time I checked it was around like 60 or so stack, maybe around 70 by now. So definitely well within the mark. And the sooner you hit those breakpoints, the sooner it is you hit that crucial 225. Looks like grubs are going to be taken though from the side of XSV Dust. Not going to be contested from Conduit, so going to be some good denial there of those objectives. Meanwhile, bot lane fight is continuing, and Slifer going to have to play a little bit carefully into this double range bot lane as Midnight grabbing up the scrubs, but Noodles going for maybe a bit of a flank. I don't know if you could really do too much there, as Como is here as well. And again, Midnight might be caught between 3 members, but this time a little bit closer to his turret. And Jack is here for some additional assistance. Oh, but gets rooted up, and the flash forward, Disdain, Fear Beyond Death. Going to be Noodles picking up a second kill onto that jungler from Dusk.
Yeah, the moment that root lands, you see the cash dollar signs light up in Noodle's eyes, flashes forward, guarantees the kill. In the meantime, the bot lane 2v2 is going in the direction of XSV Dust. But remember, this is a competitive match. This is not a 2v2.
Oh. Wow, the aggressive dredge line, despite being so low, but is going to set up Spring Roll, and Slifer going to be the one to pick up that kill. great turnaround aggression, knowing that their jungler is in the area. 4-1 to start for Conduit with a super late scaling composition. This is not the start that you want for XSV Dusk, but can Outrage get the solo kill? No, not going to be able to be the case. Out of mana. Ultimate not up as well. And this is going to be a second Drake going over to Conduit. What a fantastic start for them.
Yeah, very, very good start for Conduit, Riven. But we saw this happen in the last game, right? It was XSV Dusk continually playing on the back foot. We're seeing the fight in the top lane. Hold on.
World Ender, it's going to be popped, maybe more so defensively than anything else, but can you get a kill onto Noodles? Noodles trying to space it out here. Killer Fox is way too low, or way too healthy for that to be a kill, and Midnight somehow snipes that with the Lilia, and now more reinforcements are coming, and Killer Fox should be able to get out here to safety. Oh, sidesteps the... Oh, wait, hold on. The sleep is available, but not going to be able to do it. So great maneuvering from Killer Fox. Unfortunately, their top lane does still go down for their efforts, and Icarus probably could have taken that 1v2 on top of it, even if Midnight didn't show up. But Midnight saying, you know what? I'll snag some cash for my rotation here.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, forces the flash as well. All of these minions going down there, and it's looking rougher and rougher for Noodles here. Once again, you are seeing the fully completed Black Cleaver as that first item. No Cull going to be picked up whatsoever. I mean, I think last time we saw Noodles, he bought 2 Culls. So I guess it works out, right? You know, it's future-proofing. But in
yeah.
the end... it's just a lot of gold being put into positions where they definitely need those gold, that amount of gold to catch up, right? It's all about playing catch up for the side of XSV Dusk, and they just continue to try to find more and more ways to get back into this game. But Conduit, Riven are always the ones on the front foot. They're always the one playing with that lead early on.
Right, and these top laners, they're skirmishing, but Icarus not afraid of this 1v1 matchup anymore. And hasn't picked up any of the kills himself, but does have the low advantage and has so much healing. The Black Cleaver is completed up, so has the item advantage on the side of Noodles, but Icarus doesn't care about that at all. That's kind of just Aatroxing sometimes. Slifer continuing to weather the storm from these ricochets, but the thing is, Slifer hasn't died yet, and Essence Reaver is completed up. Here comes the gank, but Midnight is here for the additional assistance. Might be able to lullaby just the Nautilus. I don't know if that's going to be worth it or not, as the fight is starting, and Mom's going to call layered over, plus the spiraling despair. Picking up so many kills here for the side of Conduits, and Slifer flashing out. It's just going to be Midnight, but Midnight's out of mana. Jack is here for some additional assistance and tries to get out to safety, and looks like Midnight does barely get out. Almost no health, almost no mana. But overall, another fantastic fight for Conduit as they wipe the bot lane of Dusk.
Yeah, almost no health, almost no mana, but almost no chance of building this lead back. In the meantime, Noodle's going to be losing out in the top lane 1v1. It was looking so good for this Urgot for so long, but someone was watching broadcast last week. We do have the plated steel caps completed for Icarus. They do so much work at reducing the overall damage output of this Urgot. Very, very good play coming in from this Aatrox as well, landing each and every one of these Qs. The World Ender definitely utilized to a good amount. So much healing coming in here, and in the end, it's still more and more combat stats being taken up for Noodles, but very little in terms of the direct lane counter.
Yeah, and it's the team is definitely going to be needed to be carried from Icarus for this game, as he's the only lane that has any significant lead. And probably the only lane that's actually really even winning here, as meanwhile Killer Fox going for some additional backup. Outrage going to sidestep the dredge line and going to get out to safety. Slifer has a 3-level advantage over his support, just given how much time Slifer just spent by himself in lane, as it looks like Noodles goes down yet again in this top side. So they're just going to put a lot of their energy into this Aatrox, knowing that Aatrox, I mean, not only being one of the main frontliners for this team, but also the main source of potential carry potential for this current mid-game scenario. And I mean, it's going to be a tougher game for Noodles.
Oh, never mind. Hold on, Caleb. You keep on taking it.
All right, Dredgeline is going to land onto the Nami. But here comes Mom being called, and he's going to snipe down Spring Roll, and Outrage just going to just sit there trying to figure out what to do by himself. Here comes the TP from Icarus, so Icarus is looking to join the fight. 30 seconds till the next Drake is up, and this is going to be Dragon Soul for the side of Conduit, so they do need to potentially contest this one because, I mean, if you give them Soul and you have a Smolder and a Dr. Mundo, like, I mean, the whole point of this composition is you're supposed to beat him early, but unfortunately, you're losing to him early as well, so you can't really let him stack Drakes that easily as well.
Yeah, I mean, imagine trying to figure out a way how to get into the backline against a Hextech sold up team, right? It's so difficult, and you have to play it very slowly. And against a team that will just shred you the longer that the team fight goes, you don't want to be playing these slowly. You want to be playing these fights as quickly as possible. Just slam yourself into that backline, try to make some work happen. But this is going to be sole point for the side of Conduit mid, no Riven. Midnight is not going to opt to try to contest this because honestly, that is a death sentence and a half, and Thresh isn't even available.
That's true. XSV Dusk actually has the gold lead, though, very slightly. Probably most of it will be on that top side. But that's a little bit surprising, given how this game has been feeling, at least, as Outrage going for the 1v1. Going to take some damage back, too, as Slifer, you can see, already hit that 125 mark. So this Smolder is definitely stacking quite fast here, getting a lot, probably even just against the enemy laners. As Icarus looking for some potential gank here. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it or not. Efron is going to fear him away. And, oh, wait, hold on. Infernal Chains does connect. World Ender is going to be popped as well. And, oh my gosh, Icarus is strong. One more auto will do, and it's going to be Jack that picks up that kill. So successful gank and taking advantage of that lead that the Aatrox had.
I mean, it was looking very good for Efron. You know, saw the gank coming, understood what was happening, just said, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. And then Icarus just lands one Q, right? Efron flies a little too close to the sun, and Icarus says, hey, I know how it is. Let me show you what happens when you do this. But right now, 1, 0, and 4 on that Aatrox. So much gold being placed into this man's pocket, but more importantly, placing so much gold into his teammates' pockets. The Dredgeline going to be doing a lot of work here.
All right, Death Charge does not get Spell Shield, so Outrage able to get away from this and kiting quite well. This might be the turnaround they're looking for, as Midnight is here for the additional assistance, and Noodles is not nearly as strong as he was from last game. Knowledge is going to be the first to drop, but nothing too consequential there. The turret is coming close to being taken out soon, and these Ricochets are going to clear out this mini wave as soon as possible. They look like they want to grab it, but meanwhile, Slifer getting free farm in this mid lane. And you can see them aggressively ping for some additional backup there as the turret does go down to Outrage, but they're still getting some value here, and Conduit, the deficit is still not in their favor, but they have Soul Point and they have a Smolder, but Rift Herald is going to be summoned up, and this might be a big team fight in this mid lane.
Yeah, it might definitely be a large team fight here. Shelly already doing a lot of work. We're actually seeing the fight start up here. All right, Caleb, take it away.
Dredgeline does land, but World Ender is popped, and this Aatrox is not going down anytime soon as Icarus picks up another kill. And the Lullaby is going to be held on for the time being, but that could be a great way to just win this entire team fight if it comes to it. However, the health bars are pretty full on the side of Conduit. Slifer actually getting taken a decent chunk of damage. And it's just going to be the Nautilus that goes down, so nothing too bad for the side of Conduit. They do lose some plates. The gold is starting to grow a bit, but again, a lot of that's on Icarus, and it doesn't even feel like they have the gold lead.
Yeah, might not feel like they have the gold lead just yet, but one thing to note here is that that second Haunting Guys item is slowly being completed for Midnight. Now, whether or not that is Bloodletter's Curse or a Rift Maker is going to actually change a lot of how this team composition plays, right? If it's going to be Rift Maker second, then you're going to see a Lilia that is strong in the team fights, is relatively selfish as far as the damage output goes, and is going to be able to just run around with no worries whatsoever. But if it's a Bloodletter's Curse, that Victor is going to start ripping through the entirety of Conduit mid no Riven. Right, so I'm really excited to see what this does turn into, especially because that's a double burn build being built up by the Victor as well here. But right now, my biggest question, Caleb, is what in the world is XSV Dusk feeding their players? Right, I do not know if XSV Dusk is feeding their players. They are so skinny. for when it comes to dodging all of these skill shots, right? It has been pixels away from some of these dredge lines landing, just pixels away from some of these Quayfears landing, but they're dodging so many of these skill shots very, very close up and personal. And I'm getting a little concerned here. They're getting fed on the Rift, but wow, they are so good at the dodges.
Yeah, well, I gotta say the thick boys are mostly on the side of Conduit, which is why we are seeing the double Leandry setup here. It's gonna be Riftmaker as that second item, but they're definitely going to need to build some magic pen over time because that Mundo likely is going to build that Spear Vision. It's going to be hard to kill in this front line as they're looking to try to take this turret before the Dragon Soul spawns. They definitely need to contest this one. And now they're feeling like they could do something here. As Sustain is going to land onto Icarus. Well, then it's going to be popped, and Icarus could be caught quite low. Can you heal back up in time? No, the Spiral in Despair and the Hui is going to be the one to take him out. However, Midnight's going kind of crazy, doing a lot of damage, and the ricochets are continuing to add up. And this is the whole purpose of the Sivir, the flash forward, the damage coming through, and Efron going to be the only member left alive. But finally, successful team fight for the side of XSV Dusk, and they only lose Icarus for it. So much pressure and so much attention focused on the Aatrox, but the backline can definitely pump out the damage, and that's exactly what they did here in this crucial fight.
The Hextech Soul is denied one more time. The dragon has to come back here. And I gotta say, that was beautifully played from XSV Dusk. It was just choke points, choke points, choke points. We have so much health, so much armor from the side of Conduit, mid, no Riven, but it's not the Sivir ricochets that you have to think about alone. It's also the Imperial Mandate procs, the full-on damage from this Victor and Lilia, and it's just gonna hit again and again and again. They did not have the healing reduction to take out Icarus early enough either, so they couldn't make use of the choke points on their own. But we saw how much damage Slifer was putting out. Has that Spear of Shojin completed, is going to be able to spam those abilities as quickly as possible, but is not going to be able to reduce any of the healing or any of the damage that could be coming out from XSV Dusk.
And I gotta say, in hindsight as well, right, with so much attention that Midnight provided to Icarus on that top lane, getting Icarus fed was absolutely the win condition they need, because he is their main front line, and if you spend all your time fighting an Aatrox, you're taking so much damage from the back line of XSV Dusk, and they definitely have that damage. They might not have a Smolder, but they got a Sivir, they got the Arcane Storm of the Victor, they got Lilia pumping out that damage, and even Nami going to do a good chunk of damage over time if you just keep staying in these fights. And so far, I think the win condition is available. However, you can see Smolder hits that 225 stack, 233 right now, so well ahead of schedule, and this is where the team fights can really start changing in their favor if they could find the right spacing and allow Slifer just pump out this damage.
Yeah, I mean, finding the right spacing is one thing. Finding the right engage timing onto Midnight is another, right? Especially because that Lilia now has the Seeker's Arm Guard, right? I love a Bloodletter's Curse on the Lilia, but right here is one of the strongest singular item components in the game, whether it be a Seeker's Arm Guard or a Verdant Barrier, right? AP items just have so many super strong components. It doesn't even matter that there's a Smolder on the enemy team. What matters is that you have a way to threaten them with that Flash Q ulti, and all of a sudden, there's just so much damage output onto the side of Conduit, mid, no Riven, and I don't think ricochets even wake people up off of any of that damage.
All right, and Killer Fox going to be caught out in this position. On the Hun was popped, but they choose not to chase the Nautilus instead. They're looking like they're going for Baron, but this is going to be spotted with that ward, so they might have to pull off here soon, as it looks like Aatrox isn't even at the fight, and Outrage going to take a good chunk of damage just right off the bat there. And now looking like Conduit, they want to fight themselves. They know the Smolder's online. Noodle's already getting chunked out quite a bit. Meanwhile, World Ender's going to be popped from Icarus, and Icarus looking for something here, as Infernal Chain's not going to get the Mundo. Depth Charge just used defensively to stop Icarus in his tracks. But all of a sudden, XSV does. The gold differential, it's starting to look like it in these team fights.
Yeah, I mean, the name of the game here is defense, defense, defense. And Conduit, Mindo, Riven being stuck on defense means that they can't actually run away with the power of this comp, right? They want that front-to-back team fight. They want that very honest team fight. But when your frontliners like Urgot, your frontliners like Mundo are getting shredded super, super fast, is a very, very big question as to how much you can actually play towards.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Mundo is, I mean, typically a very strong champion as well, right? Especially in the jungle these days. But maybe in this composition, not the best. I mean, not really much frontline to even stack Heartsteel off of. Como has 36 Heartsteel stacks 25 minutes into the game, and that was his first item pretty early on too. So, yeah, it's typically I'd say Mundo is a fantastic jungler in a lot of these situations, but I think SSV does drafted really well around it.
I don't know, right? I think that the draft from XSV Dusk is good. I think that the build itemization isn't necessarily bad from the Mundo, but Como, I'm gonna be real with you, man. I think you needed that Spirit Visage a little bit earlier than the Dead Man's Plate. Getting a little bit of extra move speed is nice. That armor is also not bad to have, but so much of this team's damage that you're dealing with is that Lilia, is that Victor, is this team fight.
All right, the tidal wave is used, so is Mom, and it's going to be Spring Roll that's going to be the first to drop. Fear Beyond Death is going to be used as the Sivir is taken out as well, and now things are starting to turn for Conduit, but you can see the flash away from Slifer as the Arcane Storm doing so much damage to his back line. Midnight is still around, so is Jack, but it is a 2v4, and this is Hex Soul, so they can't just let this go for free. But the question is, how do you take out these big, beefy health bars, as Como is starting to regen a lot about this, and Efron doing a bit of damage as well to Midnight. And I think they're just going to have to let this go, and Efron takes the kill, snipes out Midnight on top of it, and they get Hex Soul. Never mind, things are turning back over for Conduit. It's 12-12, but they're coming online.
Death, taxes, and caster curses. It seems like the inevitable still come true. XSV Dusk had them in a wonderful position there, but the kill onto Spring Roll is so crucial. Once the Nami healing is taken off the table, all of a sudden, all of these near misses, all of these close kills no longer have the potential to actually do enough, like no longer have the potential to drop off. Instead, they do the full job here, and Conduit, Mindo, Riven take that Hextech Soul. 2 games in a row now that they've got that Hextech Soul, and this is a very terrifying team to find a way to deal with when it comes to Hextech, right? And if you have no way to access that Smolder, good luck doing it against the Hextech slows.
Yeah, I mean, and they still have the gold lead on the side of XSV Dusk, but again, it doesn't really quite feel like it. And Hextech Soul will even that out quite a bit. Plus, on top of it, you got a fully stacked Smolder, and everything else is starting to come online for sure. As looking like they might even try to contest Baron. I should even see how Icarus died there, but just so much damage coming out all at once. I actually thought Killer Fox was actually the one that was going to die right away with the Dredge Knight into the wall to set things up and maybe mistiming a bit. But the follow-up from Conduit, so strong right now. And their team fighting has been on point this entire series.
Yeah, their team fighting has been so good as far as the series has continued. But one big question is, how consistently can you hold on to your lead, right? XSV Dusk still managing to hold on to their lead, despite some of these team fight blunders, despite the fact that they've lost that Hextech Soul. It's because they have 3 towers. Conduit, Mindo, Riven haven't picked up a single one. That's a lot of standing gold on the map here. Look at the work that this Hextech Soul does.
Yeah, that one infected Bone Saw, slowing up, doing a good chunk of damage, scaling with the Mundo health as well. It is going to be a rough one for XSV Dust, but they are not out of it yet. They do have a 3-item Sivir, and they have Zanya's completed up for Midnight. They're going to probably need some more magic penetration, though, after this, because the Dr. Mundo is starting to tank quite a bit. Has only died once in these fights, and with Spirit Visage up, it's not looking great, as I think Jock Shows is going to be the next item for Noodles as well, too.
Bloodletters. Midnight. Bio Bloodletters. Please, for the love of all things good and holy. Bloodletter's
would
Curse
definitely...
is such a ridiculous item for the side of XSV Dusk. If they can put them into a position where they can hold on long enough that the Lilia can complete that Bloodletter's Curse, that Victor will just shred through the entirety of the enemy team, that Lilia will also be doing a ton of damage. But is it going to be too late? The Smolders have been stacking up so much, and we said that the stacks are the win condition. The fact is, stacks aren't even on the mind of this Smolder anymore. It's about the gold, and 3 full items is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, and Smolder probably already at 300 plus stacks at this point, maybe even closing in on that 400 stack mark. As I actually don't know what took Slifer down so much in that one situation. But yeah, 326 for the Smolder. And I think the big thing is also Conduit has found a way to really neutralize Icarus's lead, right? I mean, look at the level differential as well as the item differential. Noodles is essentially caught up at this point. And again, when you're the main and only frontline for your team, you might be strong, but if you get picked off early, there's just nothing else to really frontline all this damage. Meanwhile, you got the Urgot, the Mundo running at you, Nautilus as well. And it's just a very difficult game for XSV Dusk to play.
Yeah, definitely a difficult game. At the very least, we do have the healing reduction being picked up by Spring Roll. It proccing on Interior Mandate definitely makes things a lot easier for the side of XSV Dusk here. We're going to be seeing a lot of damage come on out. On the Hunt, completely and totally wasted here. The Dragon is not coming up for another minute and a half. On the Hunt should be up in time, but are you going to be able to get that pick before this Elder spawns?
Yeah, I think the top part that I'm seeing in XSV Dusk's composition right now is it's hard for them to start fights and start these engages. You know, they you popped On the Hunt to chase down the Smolder, but like you can't really see him, right? Maybe you start off with the Nami wave, but if you don't really land the Nami wave in a great position, it doesn't really do too much. As speaking of Nami is going to get chunked out quite a bit. Dredgeshine is not going to land onto Nami, but it looks like the first turret might finally go down on the side of SV Dusk as Noodles is so far deep. Fear Beyond Death going to be used to take out the Nami. I don't know if that alone was worth it, but they do grab a turret to boot. Looks like the rest of Conduit is now going to run for it, even though they do have members here. They don't know Icarus is coming in. Now they know Icarus is coming in. They're going to start trying to run away as fast as they can, and Fox going to be able to get out to safety, but they're down to support. Conduit's down their top laner, and Como going to try to run down this Lilia, and Lilia's not the easiest to chase down, so going to get out to safety. But the XX Soul, the damage proccing, just constantly chipping away, is getting pretty annoying for SS Dust to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, it might be a top laner for a support, but more importantly, it's a top laner for the entirety of the healing on the side of XSV Dusk. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to play for that Elder when the Nami, well, actually, Nami's going to be here just in time here. The teleport comes in from Noodles, and are we getting a fight before the Elder?
I mean, it's going to be no better time to do it. On the Hunt is popped, but again, once you pop it, what do you do? Everyone's just running around in circles. That stretch line is not going to land, and again, they are lacking that engage. The Tidal Wave is up, though. Every ultimate is up outside of On the Hunt that was just recently popped. And Elder has spawned. Oh, Slifer taking a ton of damage, though. Hold on now. The Smolder might be going down soon. Might have to reset, but at this point, you can't really reset, as the poke damage is definitely real from the side of XSV Dusk. And Slifer just going to hide in a bush, try to recall, try to get back to safety. And this gives a good opening for XSV Dusk to potentially go for this Elder, but if they get caught between the Elder and the rest of the team of Conduit, it could spell trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is so terrifying for the side of XSV Dusk. You have the inside track on the Dragon. Do you have an opportunity for this fight?
Oh, Icarus healing up as fast as he can, and he is healing for sure and tanking for the rest of the team. Mom going to be called to do a sizable amount of damage. Aspiring Despair as well, doing a ton, but Arcane Storm has already done its work. Slifer is going to kill Midnight, so the jungler is gone down. However, still 4 members remaining, and the ricochets are continuing. Infernal Chain's going to pull Killer Fox back. Killer Fox, though, still able to get out of it. Oh, and Slifer takes Outrage. A huge pick off there. They don't have their jungler either, but Elder might be in their sights. Do they dare to take this, or do they go for the back? I think they are going to try to go back, as the health bars are pretty low. And Slifer just going to continue stacking off on these minions. Pretty bloody fight all the way around. Hard to say who really won that one, but Slifer getting the kill, getting some more sacks. Definitely something you love to see.
I mean, Caleb, it's something you love to see if you're not an XSV Dusk fan, because right now that goes from a very close fight to Smolder with an Infinity Edge. This is a huge buff in damage here, and right now the question is, are we going to be seeing the same kind of control from Conduit Midno Riven? Midnight was not able to get a single good ult angle. That lilting lullaby just falling upon deaf ears again and again and again, and the question is XSV Dusk going to be given an opportunity like that one once again, right? They got that one off of all the ricochets doing so much damage to Slifer, but right now the question is, are they actually going to be able to get the inside track on this Elder?
Yeah, they got to kill the Smolder as soon as possible, because this Smolder is at 400 stacks plus, and that damage is going to continue to burn and hurt as fast as it's possible. And plus, with the Hexx Soul, it is not making things any easier. They're trying to get positioning, but the positioning is looking way more superior for the side of Conduits. And they do have a little bit of heal cut on the Nami, but outside that, not too much, as they are starting to do some of this fighting. And Icarus going to pop the World Ender. However, the stasis is going to be popped from Efron to avoid some of this damage. Icarus going to try to heal up as much as possible. Fear Beyond Death going to be landed, and it does take out Icarus. There goes their front line. There goes their team. It's just Jack remaining, and Jack might not be able to survive this any further, as the flash forward from the Mundo going to be slowed up. One more auto's going to do it and go with a little BM stutter step on top of Jack's body before he even goes down. That's an ace, and this might be the game for Conduits.
Their front line, their back line, regardless of whose line it is, fire up the silver scrapes is not going to be the name of the game. Game number 2 already under the table for Conduit Midno Riven. This team is doing so much work. One Infinity Edge completed, and the Smolder just completely demolishes that team fight. They are not going to be taking the game. Instead, they're just going for the inhib. They're going for the Elder Dragon, not at home, and instead they're going for the 110% plays. Honestly, I understand it, right? This is a matter of playing in the finals. You cannot be too cautious, and when your team scales so hard like this to begin with, why not take the time to go for the 110%? Right now, 5 members strong. The Baron is still available. And are you really going to fight a Baron Elder Smolder?
Oh, they look like they might just have to full send it. They need to deny the Baron, deny the Exodia, but it's just, I don't know if it's possible or not. They're trying to burn it down as soon as they can, but the rest of the members from Conduit are here now to contest, and now the fight commences. As you can see, Icarus trying to take down Efron. Efron does go down, a shutdown going over to the Aatrox. Aatrox trying to heal up as much as possible. The Mom is going to be called, doing a ton of damage, and Slifer is here to join the fight. Midnight goes down, Aatrox goes down as well, and this might be the game as Jack, again, going to be run down from the Mundo. It's just going to be Spring Row and Outrage. Outrage can potentially defend this as much as you can. Can you avoid the damage? And, oh, wait, hold on. Outrage might be able to get it. And Outrage, no, the Elder takes out Outrage in his last-ditch efforts. But even if he took out the Urgot, there's just no way of stopping the rest of the team, as the suitcases are swinging, the turrets are going down, and Conduit Midno Riven are on match point with a dominating 2-0 lead over XSV Dusk.
It was looking scary for a bit. XSV Dusk showed their stuff, but game number 2, hands in their pockets, gonna be strutting across that finish line extremely nonchalantly. That Smolder damage was insane in the later stages of that game, and look at how much work that Nautilus did in that second to last team fight. The dredge line hitting 4 was absolutely insane. We thought it was going to be Midnight with the Lilting Lullaby able to tear through the team. No, it's all about the CC. It's not about the damage. And look at the damage coming on in here. Sivir, we already knew was going to be doing tons of damage, but when it comes to top lane, mid lane, and AD carry all combined, you're going to be doing more than enough damage to just stop the enemy team.
Yeah, what a fantastic performance from Conduits as well. I mean, they might have been down on goal throughout most of the game, but it did not feel like it at all. Fantastic team fighting and execution, and honestly, just maybe it's drafting across the board. It just seemed like their draft was pretty easy to play out. And again, XSV Dusk, heartbreaking loss there, but it is not over yet. A reverse sweep is still possible. It's going to start with game number 3, though, and let's see if SSV does have what it takes. We're going to take a quick break before we get back into the games. Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports. We are in the finals of Divinity League, and we are also on match point for Conduit Riven. They are one game away from the full sweep against XSV Dusk. But if I know Dusk, they're going to fight back real hard in this third game, and we'll see if we could force a game 4, maybe 5 out of this one. I'm Caleb Payne. I'm joined with Anti. How are you feeling after that second game?
Honestly, I like it a lot better from the side of XSV Dusk, right? First game, it would draft Sin, like just Sin on repeat, straight to the 7th circle of hell. Like, I have no ways to justify that first draft. Second draft, there's a lot of thought behind it, right? You have the Sivir, you have the Lilia, you have ways how to shred that backline. You played around the top side and make sure that the Urgot got behind. Like, there's a lot of things that went well for them. There's a lot of things that didn't go so well for them. But a lot of that one ended up being a hand stiff. It meant a question of execution. But well, I say execution is one. I think that item builds are another. It's all debatable, to be fair. But the big thing here is that we're slowly seeing some improvements coming in from XSV Dusk. It is not something that they are just laying down and dying from. They had a lead for a decent amount of time, right? It's something that we see.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're seeing time and time again, this team finds their win conditions, plays around them as best as they can, but they're falling a little bit short in comparison to Conduit, Midno, Riven. Now, whether or not that'll continue into game number 3 is a question, but the biggest question I have is Conduit, Midno, Riven going to be able to get the clean sweep, or is the resilience we're seeing from XSV Dusk going to keep it from being a clean 3-0?
Yeah, I like the draft a lot more from that second game from XSV Dusk, but I think they still really lacked some frontline, right? And a lot was put on Icarus, and Icarus can only do so much when you have everyone blowing you up. And I think that's why Dusk won some of those mid to early team fights. But by the late game, you just can't, ricochet your way through the front line of Conduit, Mid, Riven as easily. So we'll see if they make any adjustments for game number 3's draft. But speaking of draft, here we go. It is a fearless draft, which means that all the champions used in previous games, the first 2 are ineligible, as you see them grayed out in the bottom. And it looks like SV Dust is on the blue side yet again. So just running it back for a third time. I don't hate it, we'll see if they first pick support again or not. But yeah, but that does mean that Conduit, Mid, Riven does have that final counter pick option.
Yeah, they still retain that final counter pick. And the thing is, the way how Conduit, Midno, Riven have been drafting has just been, we see this thing, we counter it with this thing, right? Like, there's really not too much rhyme or reason behind, well, there's a lot of rhyme and reason behind it, but there's not too much flexibility behind it. It's very, very textbook, right? If I didn't know any better, I would think that they would be drafting based off of some, program or something along those lines. But the question here is, what does XSV Dusk pick up for their blue side first pick here? I think that if it is open, you take a very strong jungler like the Vi would honestly be a solid pick. What are we getting?
All right.
If it's another support, I might crash out.
It's gonna be the Caitlyn first pick.
Okay.
Caitlyn very strong right now. Oh wait, hold on. I believe it's swapped around. So this is actually first pick is for Conduit, Mid, Riven. So they actually first time blue side now. So they actually have the first.
Oh, this
pick.
is different.
And we get the Ezreal pickup on the side of Dusk. Okay, so that does make sense though, based on the bans and based off that. We'll see how this goes. I mean, again, Slifer has been playing pretty well in these first 2 games, and being on another scaling ADC is quite nice. Caitlyn very strong these days, especially with those Hex optics, usually rushing as that first item. All right, let's get the mid lane pickup as well too. We get Jack on the Ahri. We get Brand.
Whoa.
Okay, a lot of flex potential on this Brand for sure.
Yeah, I definitely like that Brand pick. I mean, it's something that we haven't seen in the jungle for a long time. Can do a lot of work in terms of the support position. All right, we know Brand's not going to the jungle. That Shen champion is disgustingly good in that jungle position. The fact that they managed to pick him up right here is very, very good for the side of Conduit, Midno, Riven. Cassante going to be taken as the response, likely expecting it to be a Shen top. I mean, we do know that Combo has a Shen jungle. We have seen it before, and they are expecting it to be Efron's Brand in the mid lane. So it's going to be a very team fight heavy composition here on one side, and on the other side, you do have at the very least an AD carry that can exist into the Caitlyn without removing the ability to take care of tanks, right? A lot of the times, the standard pick in the Caitlyn is something like a Jinx, which gets demolished by the backline divers, or a Jhin, which just gets completely taken off of the face of the earth by the existence of a tank. So I don't hate the Ezreal pick here. The question is, what are you pairing it with? It's been a long time since we've seen... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, it's been a long time since we've seen some of the enchanters that are available. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and they're definitely getting some more frontline compared to their last game, which is going to be nice, giving a lot of spacing. Oh, we get the Skarner pick up. Okay. So that looks like it's going to be a Shen top, which would make sense after seeing the Cassante earlier. Still undecided on if this brand is mid or support, but it looks like it's going to be mid, and it's going to be a Poppy support. Okay. Not a ton of damage outside the brand and Caitlyn, so they're going to really have to protect their carries. Although, if you're going battle Shen these days, so you could definitely output some of your own damage as well.
Yeah, I mean,
the Graves.
We've got Midnight on yet another one of these carry junglers. There's not really so much to actually enable Midnight, so a lot of this is just going to be Midnight saying, I got a hand stiff, I have the ability to make this work, it'll be fine, I got this. Meanwhile, on the other side, Conduit, Midno, Riven really just have to shut down that Graves. If they can do that, they can more or less survive into a lot of these champions, right? Caitlyn and Bran make it hell for Ezreal and Ahri the later a fight goes. Unless these champions are standing so far back, it's very difficult to actually see their effectiveness.
Yeah, again, I really like the draft from Conduit. It just seems like it's easier to play. Not to say that XSV Dusk maybe got outdrafted, but it's just, I think a little bit harder to execute. A lot of skill shots, a lot of, spacing needed. Whereas, CMR, they could just play kind of front to back and win out some of these fights. Plus, with the Poppy as a support, giving you so much utility as well, going to make it a little bit harder for, Ahri to kind of dash in and do some significant damage into that backline.
Yeah, in the meantime, we are seeing the handshake of the wards, and we've seen it time and time again, right? But the biggest question that I do have is, how exactly is this Graves supposed to accomplish anything, right? Right now, I said that I didn't want to see any sinfulness on the side of the draft, and this one seems like the deadly sin of greed. Right, greed, pride, I don't even know what you want to call it. This Graves pick is a question mark, to say the least.
Well, it could be the last game for XSV Dusk unless they want to change that narrative. So if it pays off, then it'll be maybe a genius draft pick. And if it doesn't, then, I think your words will ring pretty true anti. Well, we'll see kind of how they play it out here. But, overall, though, again, you got a lot of scaling potential in late game on the side of Conduit, Midno, Riven, and you are not short really on damage as long as you keep that Caitlyn and Brand alive. But again, we'll see what the Shen builds. I think Shen can go for some damage as well. Slifer going to be seen with this ward, but does have to cleanse as well. A lot of CC potential on the side of Dusk, so going to try to keep himself as safe as possible in this game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going to do what he can. I will also say, right, the last time that we saw Noodles going with this Shen, I do believe that it was a Dusk and Dawn Shen, right? So you mentioned Battle Shen. This is the epitome of battling.
Definitely. But Icarus on the Cassante would love to skirmish as much as possible too. So I think this should be a pretty fun top lane matchup. I don't think it will really snowball super far for either side, but we'll see unless you get extremely gapped somehow. But my eyes are mostly on this bot lane as well too. If you get this Caitlyn going on 5 items, it's pretty much just game over, as you'll be able to two-shot like most of the champions with some headshots.
Yeah, honestly, my real question mark here goes to Killer Fox on this Poppy, right? There's so many things that a Poppy can do. I'm really excited to see what kind of shenanigans this player's got for us, because that's a spellbook Poppy, right? We haven't seen spellbook for a hot minute. There's a lot of these champions that were running it, on repeat, whether it be the Braum, whether it be this fight in the jungle. Hold on, no smite available for Como.
All right, and the Skull Crab does go over the side of XSV Dusk, but the real question is, can they survive it, and is it worth it? As you see the flash forward from Como, going to do some damage here, and you're going to be stunned up. The Shen is there for the assistance. However, kill goes back over to Jack, so 1-for-1. Jungler's going to be traded. Efron will try auto down this Ahri, and it's going to be Noodles picking up the kill. So rewarded for his gank. Meanwhile, the Cassante, at best, just going to crash a wave. So already a great start for Conduit mid Riven.
Yeah, I mean, I told you that they needed to make sure to shut down this Graves, and they have fully committed to that one. I mean, Noodles committed the Ignite, the Flash, literally everything, and the kitchen sink. In the meantime, bot lane looking more and more terrifying for the side of XSV Dusk. This is a lane that they picked to try to survive into this, you know, Poppy and Caitlyn, but it's rough to say the least out here.
Yeah, and Killer Fox has been playing a really great series so far. As you see, these top laners are skirmishing. Shouldn't be anything too significant here, but, you know, kind of been all over the place on the Melio, the Nautilus, and now making a lot of plays with the Poppy as well. So really showing the full arsenal that Killer Fox has up his sleeve, and well-earned first-team All-Pro honors for sure this split.
Yeah, I mean, we see the All-Pro. We've seen so many of these players just be given their flowers here, but right now, the question is whether or not they can actually make use of the expectations that are placed on them, or if they're going to crumble under the pressure, right? This is the finals. This is the moment that you've been waiting for. This is what you've been playing the entire season leading up to this. The past 10 weeks or so of play have been to try to make this Week 11 Grand Finals. And you're here, you reached that part of the goal. Now you have to take it home. 2 games up already for Conduit mid no Riven. Can you find a way how to take it all home, or will you drop the ball at the finish line?
We get flash draw. Oh wait, no, that wasn't even a flash. So Ezreal just able to blink out of there, as you see Como going in for the engage, trying to maybe steal this Drake, but they're just going to go for a fight at this point. Efron is here for additional backup, trying to do as much damage as possible. Not in smite range yet is the Drake. However, it does go over to Midnight, but can Midnight survive? I don't think so, as the Shen is going to taunt him up. And again, the Shen pick coming in handy, as Noodles involved in all of these fights so far.
Yeah, involved in all of these fights. 100% kill participation, is going to be dropping a couple of these plates. Now, this is one of the things that's very difficult when it comes to playing that Shen top lane, is a lot of these ultimates can be game-changing, right? You can put yourself in a position where your team is doing very, very well for yourself. But if you do it too often and in a bad wave state, hold on to that thought.
Spring Roll caught pretty low, but so is Killer Fox. As I think Slifer just going to pick up the kill, and does before another stun can come through. Piltover Peacemaker also going to land the flash forward and the nets, but the barrier popped right in time. Highly aggressive plays from this bot lane of Conduit mid Riven. It's not over yet, as Outrage tries to go back in for it, but Slifer picks up the kill. That's 2 kills going over to this Caitlyn. Not the start you're looking for if your XSV does. As again, Slifer getting fed super early, looking to carry a 3rd game straight.
Yeah, I mean, Slifer right there tried to make something happen because he knew that he had that level 6, right? We're going to see right here how it started up once again, right? So right here, Outrage gets engaged on by Killer Fox. Spring Roll sees the opportunity, says, I'm going to go with that Zenith Blade. Goes straight on in, has the W available, but this is a lot of damage coming in from the Caitlyn. Poppy still gets tankier the lower that they get, and Outrage takes that one Piltover Peacemaker, takes that 190 caliber net, and here, one headshot queued up. And there goes the kill. Outrage knew that he had to go in, had to try to make something happen, because otherwise the headshot just ends up ending it all.
And the fight continues here, as Spring Road not level 6 yet. However, level 6 for both bot laners on the side of Conduit mid Riven, so they're going to have to play this carefully, as Killer Fox has no fear in his heart, just going in on these engages as soon as possible, and just running into him, knowing that he's a little bit too tanky right now for them to take out. And again, a great start for the bot lane of Conduit mid Riven. Not even that, but just to start the series, the game off completely, 5-1 already. They did lose the Drake, but that's nothing too worrisome if you're side of Conduit mid and Riven.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question that I have here is what does this lead actually turn into, right? Because a lot of the times we'll see teams get an early lead, but they don't actually find a way how to make use of it, right? Caitlyn, one of those champions that needs this lead in order to stay relevant, and that needs to have damage in order to stay relevant.
Ooh.
And when you're getting 4 people into the bot lane, good luck holding on to it. Slifer in a lot of trouble. It doesn't seem like he's aware just how bad it's gonna get, though.
Well, I think he's starting to snuff it out, but goes back towards the turret, and they've got to make something out of this as they're committing so many resources. There's shutdown
Stand
goes
united.
onto the side, but here comes Noodles for some additional backup, and now turning it into a 2v4, and this Shen is doing some damage. Ignites, taunts, Midnight, has to run for it, and might burn, no, does not burn, stays in there for the ultimate, and we get the shutdown finally go over to Jack, but Killer Fox is here, so is Efron, and this could be a team wipe if they're not careful. Killer Fox trying to hold it down here as the brand is here with some additional damage. Efron cleaning things up, a double kill going over, make that a triple kill, looking for the quadra. Jack trying to get something out of it, and that's a quadra kill for the brand. Efron rotating over at the perfect timing. And meanwhile, Icarus about to die to the Skarner. Oh no,
That's
actually
what
not
you
going to be the
think,
case.
but Como going to be going down. Icarus knows just how close he can fly to that sun, but right here, if you're sitting there top lane, you're saying, all right, I got a huge CS lead. I've got all the fights going crazy. You know, I even got a solo kill on my jungler. Why is my whole team dead, right? The question here is, when you're down 2 games, do you end up mental booming? Icarus right now able to use the unstoppable to stay alive a little bit longer, but cue up that Showmaker copy pasta, because this is Cassante, baby.
What is that damage? I mean, taking 2 turret shots almost in 5% health range and turns it back around on Tacoma. I mean, they needed something out of that one, as they did finally kill the Caitlyn, but they lost so much for that one. And the score is now 9-3. Gold lead is not that crazy yet, but it is starting to grow, and 6-0 on the brand is not what you want to be facing.
Yeah, not what you want to be facing. The Rylai's Crystal Scepter already fully completed for that, but we're not looking at the brand. We're looking at the jungle. Look at this CC.
A stun CC onto Midnight, as Midnight is going to try to kite it out, still stays alive, and now they're trying to turn things back around as Outrage is here, and Como actually goes down, and they're turning things around a bit as Slifer is caught, but by himself right now. As you can see, the Zen play is going to connect. The stun comes through. The barrier going to be popped to stay alive, and that's going to be a kill going over to Midnight. They turn things back around and looking to secure their second Drake. There was Hextech Soul for the last 2 games for Conduit mid Riven, but they're finally looking like they're going to try to secure up Soul for this game if possible. And the lead for Icarus is starting to grow a little bit, as he's just been kind of free farming in lane, and taking a kill earlier was going to help that lead grow a little bit more.
Yeah, those first 2 dragons definitely doing a lot of work for XSV Dusk here. Now, I'm going to be so real with you. What in the world is Triforce Skarner? Can somebody please, like, put, like, DM me with, like, the build? Because this is something I haven't seen in a hot minute. You need frontline. You need ways how to keep your team alive. You just need ways to just be a meat ball, right? Just stand directly in front of people. But right here, you're seeing not that. You're seeing all damage.
Oh.
The Keeper's Verdict also going to be stopped up. The all out going super well for Icarus, and yet another chance of a solo kill. Not going to be able to get it that time, but you can see the Cassante is definitely becoming a problem.
Yeah, Como essentially being the top laner for Conduit this game, as I believe Icarus did a 1v1 kill over Noodles at some point earlier, as Como is on the lower side, but this brand is starting to hurt, almost completing up the Blackfire Torch. Rylai is going to be rushed, and yeah, this is not going to be a fun game if this brand keeps on getting fed, because that burn damage is really going to cut down the health bars. Oh, here comes the Hextech. Oh, wait, hold on. Great Steadfast Presence to stop the Zenith Blade. Yeah, I don't know. Killer Fox just doing things, you know? He's just kind of going in willy-nilly and not scared of anything as he hasn't died yet and just looking for engages whenever possible. Meanwhile, okay, Solar Flare is going to be landed. His End Blade actually connects onto the Caitlyn, but so much spacing provided. Setback presence is providing so much value for Killer Fox. Here comes the Shen. Oh, a beautiful True Shot Barrage to take out the Caitlyn. And now Noodles, a little bit late to reinforcement, maybe trying to stay onto the Poppy, but probably should have gone over to Caitlyn. And here comes the Skarner is in the area. But I don't think they could do too much of this so far, as it's just a Shen and Skarner for starters. But here we go, the taunt coming through, and actually this Shen is doing quite a bit of damage. Here comes the Ishal's impact, going to land onto Leona. Speedrun might just give up her life to save her ADC. Outrage just outputting as much damage as possible. Maybe stayed a little too long. Here comes one final taunt, and that's actually a double kill for the Shen. Can Midnight do something to carry this fight? But no, the damage is not there, and the health bar is just too full for the side of Conduit Mid and Riven.
Yeah, but on the top side, the first tower goes down. All of that gold in Cassante's pocket, and if you've seen it once, you've seen it a billion times. This champion scales a decent amount. Efron now in that top lane trying to make sure that the Cassante doesn't get to do this for free. All of the damage coming in from that Rylai's Crystal Scepter gonna make sure that this Cassante won't be able to get out with just walking, as what we'd say had that Leandri's been completed, but no boots, no Leandries, no damage, no sticking power for this, brand just yet. So right here, Charm goes on to Noodles for 2, but the big question I've got, right, is how greedy are you going to get if you're Conduit Minnow Riven? There's a lot of these plays that look very, very coin flippy, but you already had such a good lead. You're giving up that first tower, though. You're giving up a lot of these kills, a lot of these shutdowns, and this could be the turning point, right? You're already down, about 1,000 gold now, and the score might be looking nice, but the way how the items work out, the way how the gold works out, definitely doesn't match.
Yeah, this indeed is a try for Skarner. It's also Zeke's Convergence Cassante. Not the items I thought they would build, but maybe it'll work. I don't know. I'm not a Cassante player myself. Yeah,
I have
rarely
seen that
see it. But it looks like Rift Herald is going to go over to the side of Conduit, as this Cassante is in no man's land. Well, okay, let's see him put in some work here, as All Out is available, so we can maybe see the Z's Convergence at hand, as the Impale does not land at all. Flash away from Coma. I'm not even sure what's going on at this point, but here we go. Keeper's Verdict trying to get some members out. Charm stops it, and Jack is here, and you can see the Graves damage is definitely pumping out, as now comes Noodles. And here comes the TP from Efron. The brand going to really start doing some damage. Can Icarus get out? Icarus is strong, but I don't know if he's that strong as he goes all out. However, that's going to be killed, just going back over to Noodles. Here comes the taunt as well. He's looking for more as he's trying to stop Midnight from backing. Here comes the headshots. The ace in the hole, and Jack forced to flash out. I don't know if he can get away from this, as Efron going to be blinded for a bit. The charm does land onto Noodles, and I think Jack might just give his life for the jungler, as Jack's still staying a little bit around. Shutdown goes over to the Poppy, as the Keeper's Verdict is going to knock up the Leona. I don't think any further kills are going to happen, but meanwhile, Como just trying to chase down the the Ezreal, and here comes the ultimate from the Shed. I don't even know what's going on anymore in this game, but I think they're just doing things, and
what
it's been interesting to see.
The fresh solo queue is this, right? We are getting kill after kill after kill, just back to back to back to back. The first 2 games were just a masterclass of understanding your win conditions and playing straight to them. This time, we're seeing Conduit and Minnow Riven constantly trading kills for objectives, and they're not the ones coming out on top here. At the very least, Infernal Drag number 1 going to be going down on the side of Conduit and Minnow Riven. The resulting fight also going to be going their way, and with that pale. There's going to be no chance of the continued fight to do much of anything but pad some stacks.
There's so much CC on the side of Conduit mid no Riven. Icarus gets out of there though for the time being, but here comes Isha's impact, and Shen might just be able to taunt this up. Komo's going to be throwing a rock at the Cassante for some additional damage. Hey, maybe that Triforce pickup wasn't the worst for this Carter, as yeah, things are not looking great for XSV Dust, as Jack going to be killed as well, trying to take out the brand, not successfully able to do so. Going to be hard when you're going 1v4 there, but I don't know, maybe you got to make some crazy plays.
Caleb, how am I supposed to do my job, Caleb? How am I supposed to do my job when nothing makes sense? Because look at this fight one more time, right? So the dragon's being taken, it goes down, and Conduit mid no Riven are in such a good position. They get those 2 early kills. It's all fine. Icarus TPs straight in regardless, tries to find a way out, does use the all out to get a little bit further away. You have so many ways to be unstoppable, so many dashes, so many cooldowns, but not much tankiness after all of that health drops off here. But right now, we're seeing once again Conduit mid no Riven challenge XSV Dust to a battle of hands, and they're coming out on top again and again. The Ahri ults in, the Spirit Rush not going to be doing nearly enough, and it's just a matter of trying to make something out of nothing. They don't want to just drop off without any sort of compensation. They want to fight to the very bitter end. But the controversial one at a time strat is controversial for a reason, y'all.
Yeah, this is I mean, the funny thing is, even though it's 18-8, somehow the goal differential is only 1K. Not really sure how that math really adds up, but you know what? Maybe some shutdown code did go. I don't even think that much shutdowns.
Look at the tower
over
count.
The side of Dusk. Yeah, that's
Look at
true.
the CS.
Again, yeah, yeah. That will even things out a bit. So, but it's been kind of a goofy game, you know. But they're just going for it. Killer Fox looks literally unkillable on this Poppy so far, and just kind of running down a hero charge whenever possible. And then Efron just blowing everyone up with his damage, and we got even Triforce Skarner in on the action. But yeah, I don't know what to make of this one.
One thing I will say, I actually do love Efron's build here. Actually, hold that thought. We're getting more fighting.
Here comes the all out, and this Poppy does have a decent amount of shutdown gold. Keeper's Verdict does not take out the Cassante, and the shutdown does go over to the side of Outrage, and that's going to be huge gold for the Ezreal. Icarus trying to stay alive for this. Oh, and actually buffer some of that damage. And here comes the Ishhaus Impact, getting Como out to safety. And that's going to be just 1 kill going over, but a lot of gold going to this Ezreal, as Ezreal does have 2 items now completed. And looks like Noodles is going to finally get some turrets on the side of Conduit in their favor. Cypher going to get hit with the Solar Eclipse, but does do the instant cleanse to get out to safety. And going to just keep autoing things down a bit. But Outrage playing as aggressive as possible. I do like that XSV does. They're, you know, taking risks when they can. Maybe not the most calculated risks at times, but they know that they can't play this one safe because they're behind, and they don't want the side of Conduit to continue scaling because their late game is pretty scary.
No, absolutely. I mean, I don't really hate a lot of the plays that XSV Dust has been going for, because when you're down, you need to be making these risky plays. This is exactly when that sort of moment happens, especially when you're not the team that outscales. Meanwhile, on the side of Conduit mid no Riven, stop picking up the glove. Every single time that they throw that glove to you, say, hey, 1v1 me, bro. You don't have to do it. You just win if nothing happens. You've already got your retirement plan. You've already got all your savings. You don't need to keep doing this. Just look for the objectives. Look for what makes your team strong. You don't have to go for these skirmishes. But I guess if you're just going to win them all anyway, why not, right? Dusk and Dawn completed on Noodles for 2, and it's the battle Shen that you were talking about earlier, Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me of Conduit's game last week, too, where they're just, you know, just YOLOing it in that 3rd game, and they were able to close that one out. So looking to repeat success here in this finals, as Drake is spawning in a couple seconds. This would be soul point for the side of XSV Dust, and you don't want to give over Infernal Soul onto this composition, so going to look to contest it, but the positioning from XSV Dust is quite good. TP is available on Skasante as TP is going to be... Oh, wait, hold on. The Shed TP, I think, was... Oh, wait, I don't know what that was. Someone TP, I think, was canceled there, but Killer Fox is going to take a good chunk of damage. Two-shot barrage.
Perhaps.
Maybe. Oh, yeah. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Because I was like, the cooldown's still available. That does make sense. Maybe try to swap over the spell book when possible. Maybe looking for some other summer spell. But I don't know if Conduit and Riven can contest this one. It looks like XSV Dust might be able to grab this. Let's see if Como can make a heroic play or not, as the health bars are pretty low already, and Efron getting chunked away. Here comes the TP from the Cassante, and Keeper's Verdict just going to be cast to no avail, and this looks like there's no steal possible. And XSV Dust, they're still in this game. The gold differential, again, only 1k gold, but they are on soul points.
Yeah, they are on soul point. This is a better position that we've seen from XSV Dusk than we have seen the entire series, right? They're not down so much gold. They have soul point on an Infernal Soul, and all of a sudden, things are coming up XSV Dust. They need to make something crazy happen. They've got themselves into a solid position. Can you deal with the Shen? Can you deal with all of these slows coming in from Efron?
Noodles on the Shen is pretty scary. As you can see, Midnight just trying to kite it out. Oh, the flash taunt forward. Ezreal gets blown up completely. Keeper's Verdict to knock up Spring Roll for a second. But that was Ezreal in their sights. They had just tunneled down onto the Ezreal, ignoring everything else. And this looks like they're going to try to secure up Baron. But Icarus is here for the additional flank. Can they contest this? As they don't want to give this over just quite yet, and it's not going to be the easy to take out this Baron at their current levels. It might be fed, but they're not that fed.
Yeah, not that fed. Look at this Cassante, though. Is a very fed member. Stunned, taunted, flashes away, might be unstoppable, but you're not going to be able to do that much. The true damage does a lot of work for lowering the health bars of this team, but it doesn't do enough for stopping the Baron. Now, the Charm, on the other hand, brings Killer Fox super, super low here. Jack getting slowed down by that brand, but in the end, the Baron is stopped. But let's take a quick moment. Caleb, get Xpetu on the phone. How much damage does this Shen do?
It's definitely pumping out the damage here. But Jack is also pumping out quite a bit of damage on this Ahri with the Shadow Flame completed as well. I mean, just that Charm and, Orbit Deception onto that Poppy just put Poppy almost in, single-digit ranges, as they do stop that Baron from being taken. So Icarus' sacrifice was not in vain. But man, this Shen is scary though, and Noodles is playing it quite well.
Yeah, I mean, quite well is one way to put it. That's a redemption. Noodles.
Yeah. The build choices this game is kind of peculiar. Okay. I will say that, but
I'm gonna say it. I love this pick, actually.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
On the Shen is actually so much fun because it means that you have more ways to affect the map from other sides and more shielding for your ulti. Unfortunately, the mana regen doesn't exactly do you so much, but if you're doing this much damage and you're this unkillable, why not toss a bunch of gold into something that's just for the sake of your team? Which is the same idea that goes around, building a Bloodletter's Curse, right? I'm just saying, it's a good item.
Oh,
but
wait, hold on.
I don't think it's a very good one for this game here, but no Impale available. I would love to see a Protoplasm on this Shen, but all build aside, we're going to see this fight starting up.
Killer Fox actually just able to walk off all that damage, no problem on the Poppy. And yeah, I mean, it is getting kind of weird here as we're about 90 seconds away from Infernal Soul. So I think both teams are going to try to prep for that. If they can pick off Noodles, that would be pretty massive. Jack is pretty low though, so you got to be careful on this Shen because this Shen could maybe just two-shot you from this range. Icarus is there though for the additional backup. And it looks like things are starting to reset a bit. As True Shot Barrage going to scout out the Baron, going to see that there is no Baron being taken right now. As everyone trying to build up their final item before this Infernal Soul fight. Endless Hunger
Endless
is
Hunger.
completed on Outrage, which, I mean, I've seen it on a few Ezreal builds in the late game for sure, but definitely could be good if you can survive long enough in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big issue that Outrage might want, though, is that, you know, we're late enough into a game where you're gonna want to start having a way to deal with the base armor increase on a lot of these champions. So you want a Last Whisper item of some kind. Grudge would honestly be a wonderful item here, especially against a champion like the Shen, right? But Endless Hunger, at the very least, if you can get one kill, all of a sudden you're unstoppable for the rest of the fight. But the question is, can your team actually net that early kill?
Right, and you can see they're fighting for vision in this small brush, but if you get flanked from this side, it would not be good, as I think the Shen might be trying to bait out the fight here, as Noodles is going to run back to the turrets. However, this positioning from XSV Dusk is fantastic, as they're looking to potentially flank from this river side. Let's see if they go for the fight, as Koma is going to blow in with the Ishash's impact, but the knockup from Cassante is good, as the redemption is going to be used from some additional healing. Keeper's Verdict is going to knock the Graves out of the fights, but is that enough? I think it might be, as Efron doing so much damage in these fights, and Slifer doing more, as well as Ace in the Hole is going to take out the Ezreal, but it's actually Efron that picks up that kill. And Killer Fox trying to buy some space for Slifer, and Midnight,
Whoa!
oh my gosh, goes back in, takes out the Caitlyn, and it's a 1v2. But you got to be careful if you're Midnight. You don't want to give this up so easily, as Killer Fox is in the area. Midnight playing confident, though, knows that if you could hit your skills in the right order, maybe you could do something here, as Efron is still pretty healthy. I don't think Midnight's going to go for this 1v2, as we take a look at this quick fight and see how it all unfolded.
Yeah, they are still looking at that 1v2 here, but right now, let's take a look at this fight once again. Como goes forward, does not land the Exile's impact. The Impale only hits the Cassante, but the Redemption, huge value on that side. But even bigger value is Killer Fox's Keeper's Verdict, just able to take that, you know, Graves out of the fight. Does so much work here, because look at how much damage Midnight does. Just pops this Poppy the moment that they pop up. Slifer just tries to make something happen, instead gets dashed towards, and the Dragon's being taken here. Look at the live fight. This could be the soul right now.
We go back into it too, and it looks like Infernal Soul was taken for XSV Dust. They still have life in this fight, but Noodles takes out the Graves. Ace in the Hole will take out, I believe it was the Ari, and oh no, it was Spring Roll actually, and now Icarus running for his life as he goes unstoppable, buffer summon that CC, and here comes the all out going to be used up. Do they try to turn this around? Outrage is still pretty strong, and Icarus fairly healthy, but this is a straight 2v5 fight as Shen comes in, and you gotta be careful of this taunt. Oh, as a great knockup from Icarus is going to slow down things a bit, but Brand going to do some massive burn damage onto Icarus. Icarus is going to be able to walk it off a-okay. This looks like it's going to be the Baron though, so they did get Infernal Soul, but at what cost?
Yeah, at the cost of the Baron and 3 kills here. We're going to see the True Shot Barrage is not going to be able to take it. Very, very close to taking out Noodles on that top side. But we're seeing a little bit more taking just coming in for the Shen here. Now, the biggest question that I have for you, Caleb, is what is it that XSV Dusk can do to stall out the game to avoid this Baron just ripping through their towers?
Yeah, I mean, the good news, they at least have Infernal Soul, so they can poke a bit and, you know, maybe clear out these waves a little bit faster. But everyone's 10-0-11 on this Brand, and he's about to pick up his Zanyas on top of it, too. So it has not been great for the team fighting aspect. The fact that Midnight even got that soul was huge, though, for the team, and will keep his team back in this game for a little bit. But gold lead is finally starting to grow a bit. Not as much as you would think, though. With over twice the amount of kills, it's still only under 3k on the side of Conduit, Mid, Riven. So I will say XFC does, their macro has been pretty solid, right? Like, even if they lose fights and stuff, they're getting advantages elsewhere throughout the game. So trying to keep this game still pretty close, and Infernal Soul will definitely go a long way.
Yeah, Infernal Soul is definitely going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting here. The Baron, at the very least, going to be evening out their combat stats for quite a while. And one thing I will also note, Noodles for 2, if you thought he was unkillable before, imagine this Shen with a Protoplasm, because we are building into that one. Now, Efron right here on the brand, just going to be clearing out these waves in the mid lane, has Slifer as well. Noodles for 2 should be able to just dash on out of here. I don't think that you can actually kill the Shen, regardless of how little defensive stats the Shen has actually built. It's just a lot of health.
Yeah, I mean, that almost looks like a tank Shen. As Outrage is going to get pinned into the wall. Ace in the hole is going to be the one to clean up Outrage's life. And now the siege is looking a little bit easier with the Ezreal out of the equation. However, health bar still full on the side of XSV Dusk, and a charm does land onto the Skarner. However, Skarner, pretty beefy, is going to be able to walk that off quite easily. look at that redemption. Shen coming in through as well, topping off the health bars of Conduit Riven. And looks like they might try to go for a fight here as a flash forward. Oh, but huge impale actually catches the what do you call it? Oh man, I'm blanking right now. Catch the spring run. Icarus in a huge position, and the rest of the fight is continuing as there's so much burn damage coming through. A double kill over to the Skarner, and now it's just Jack left alone. This might be the game. We'll see though, as Ezreal coming up in a few seconds, but they don't want to drag this out any longer. Has a few more minions, is going to, oh, but the true shot barrage just down the Shen. That's a massive pick off for Outrage. Jack back in full health. Como going really deep. I don't think this is worth it. Misses the mystic shot though, and the charm lands onto the Poppy. Jack a few autos away, takes it out, and here comes a going forward there, and the Skarner goes down. Wait, they get aced! Somehow, a two-man defense there holds it down. This game is still going on.
Yeah, and Caleb, it's just like what we were talking about earlier, right? As long as Outrage can get a single kill to get that Endless Hunger actually procced, this Ezreal just gets to rip straight through these team fights extremely, extremely well. And there's that first kill. On to Noodles for 2. Extremely important. Look at all of the healing coming in from this Endless Hunger right now. 63, 43, 69, just so much of this healing. A beautiful dodge from Como right there, but Outrage still keeps the Endless Hunger active. And Jack right there gets one more takedown for the team, and all of a sudden Outrage has the confidence to flash in for the Q, goes for the E, gets the kill, but Efron going down is not what Conduit Riven wanted.
A lot of gold going to be swung back over as we look at the gold difference. Still a little under 2K, but again, having the Infernal Soul is helping out quite a bit. And XSV Dust, they do not want to get swept. They want to still win this all, and they have to start with this game to be able to do so, as they are fighting tooth and nail towards the end of this. It's going to be Elder spawning, though, in 45 seconds. There's going to be another huge fight queuing up, as both teams cannot afford to get picked off. Impale does not land yet again. And so that's going to be one important ultimate going down.
Yeah, I mean, Impale is definitely a huge ultimate here. You also have to take into account that Shen no longer has the teleport. Use it in the bot lane in that last, right before that last fight, but this time around, we are having Noodles for 2 just ripping through these minion waves in the top lane. Just going to continue to push that one down. There's a huge minion wave in the bot lane here. Mystic Shot does a lot of damage here. True Shot Barrage as well, able to just make Slifer's life a living hell. This Caitlyn's still looking to finish that last Whisper item. In the meantime, Graves just finished an Infinity Edge. This champion does so much damage. Throw an Infinity Edge, the armor pen, all the armor pen you could ask for, and an Infernal Soul on top of that. This Elder Drag is going to go down before you can blink.
Yeah, Poppy is here though with a Keeper's Verdict. Can you get the Midnight out of it? No, not going to be the case. That's a great flank from Spring Roll. Going to stop things, and that's going to be Elder going over to the side of XSV Dust. But look at the mid lane. They're trying to end it. Can they get there in time? Is the real question. We can see a few more autos might do it, and looks like Conduit Riven, they're going to be your winter split champions with a 3-0 sweep over XSV Dusk.
And it was so close each and every time. We're even going to see a replay of just how this ended. But Conduit Riven, they pulled the trigger. They knew what they needed to do, and they made it happen. Let's take a look at this one more time. Killer Fox and Noodles just go straight in. They understand if we can stop them from taking this, we have the opportunity. And all of a sudden, Conduit mid no Riven just barrel it straight down the mid lane, use all of their movement abilities. Look at how close that Nexus turret is to respawning. Had that W hit Slifer, it might have changed the entire outcome of the game. But what we have here is a Conduit mid no Riven victory. No more inhib shenanigans, no more Nexus turret shenanigans. There is no win for XSV Dusk. It is all Conduit mid no Riven. 3-0 and a handshake, but God, did they work for it.
Yeah, ignore the graphic there too, but it is Conduit mid no Riven that actually won it all. And to quote my teammates on the Rift, open Nexus. And that exactly was the case for Conduit. What an exciting end to that one. I mean, if that turret respawned in time, that would have been a crazy end game.
2 games in 1 series?
Yeah. Heartbreaking loss for XSV Dusk. They played fantastic throughout the split and really went undefeated outside of a seeding tiebreaker match. But it is going to be Conduit mid no Riven that takes the victory in dominant fashion, 3-0 to close things out. And congrats to them, as they are your Winter Split 2026 champions.
Yeah, I mean, that does mean that we are going to be getting an interview with some of the members of Conduit mid no Riven. I think ideally we usually have it with as many of them as we can, but we're gonna have to see what this does turn into. I gotta say, that was some fun League of Legends to watch. And 11 weeks of Divinity League. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Make sure not to go anywhere, but I just gotta say, huge thanks to Sherigan, to Lily, to Caleb for casting with me, right? And just every one of you that makes this a possibility. Super happy to see it happen, and happiness continues as the interview will come in not too long. We're just gonna have to get things set up.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, what a split it has been too. Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports. We have our Divinity League Winter Split champions here. It's Conduit, Riven, and usually we interview the captain or one of the players on the team, but today we got the whole squad here, all 5 members of Conduit, Riven. And to start things off, how are you all feeling after this win, and what does this win mean for you all? Because I know we've been going at this for a couple weeks now in the Winter Splits, and for I think some of you, maybe even all of you, this might be your first split win.
I know for me, it's my first win.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
It's the first win for me too. That was for Sox. That was the Sox W for sure.
Nice. And Tyler, you take the next one.
All right. So, obviously, congratulations on a 3-0 win. It definitely wasn't a very clean 3-0 win, though. Like, they made you fight for that, right? Now, because of that, my question is, going into game number 3, what were the things going through your mind, right? Do you go into it saying, oh, we're up 2 games, we got this free, we're just going to go crazy with it? Or is it, pedal to the metal the entire time? Is it high cortisol, full stress?
I'm not even gonna lie. I was stressed. My hands are sweaty. I'm like, please, I just want to win this.
I just want a game playing Nautilus with like no real damage other than like smolder late game. Like my game was so tough in that game too. By the time we got to game 3, I was like, we're gonna pull a rabbit out of the hat somehow, even though my draft is looking chopped right now. Okay, it's gonna happen again.
I know. I was sitting there like I'm thinking like that last game was stressful. If we lose this one, like we might lose momentum. Like this game 3 was almost a game 5 for me. Like in my head, like I was worried that like if we lose this, it might go south for the rest of the series.
Yeah, speaking of that final game too, obviously that Infernal Soul went over to side of Dusk, and they were definitely putting out the damage, right, with that final, like that ace right before you all ended it on the first attempt. I was wondering, from your perspective, did you realize how close the Nexus turrets were to respawning? Because I think it came up like right when the game ended.
Oh yeah.
Not in lifetime, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember yelling at my team to auto the Nexus. As soon as we got there, just auto the Nexus.
I know I flashed to get the Nexus faster. I wasn't thinking about the towers, but I think it was the difference between like the last auto, whether like, we got it or not.
I flashed for it too. I flashed as well.
Yeah, literally.
If that would have respawned and inhibited us again, they would have been a 5-game series instantly. That would have been rough.
Honestly,
there's no way we're winning that game.
My question to that is, so y'all see the Elder happen, and you commit, your Poppy, you commit your Shen, you commit the Redemption, which actually ends up hitting 2 people and stops 2 recalls, and that's actually the reason why you're able to take the Nexus down in time, which is phenomenal, right? Really, really cool to see. Photo finish, especially as the Nexus towers are coming back up. Whose call was it to make that play for the Nexus and split up the team like that? And what are the comms looking like in that moment?
That's me screaming.
That was Noodles. Yeah, that was Noodles.
That's me screaming for the last like minute or so of that game that we just need to run down mid and just give the Elder. And my goat Fox decided to run, down river and try and stall recalls. And I'm like, oh wait, I don't do damage to towers very much or to Nexus. I'm just gonna go help it. And then just kind of throw out all my abilities before I die as best as I could.
To make it super clear as well, we were never fighting that Elder. We were going into their base 100% of the time, but it just ended up kind of weird because he went top lane, so it kind of was like a curveball where I had to run into river, but I was like, yeah, whatever. Let's send it.
Nice.
It was too close.
After this win for you all too, I always ask the winners as well too, what are the chances we get a run back with the same squad, or maybe the majority of squad for the next split? Because it's got to be feeling pretty good winning it all.
So I'll go first. I was supposed to play with Fox in BOL. However, I ranked out and I can no longer play in Plat. So now I am playing with Noodles because we both ranked out. We're gonna go and play in D4, and hopefully it goes great for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's super cool to hear that you two are going to continue to play together. I will say, Plat to D4 is a decent jump.
That won't work.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference. This has been the best team I've ever played with by far, and like absolutely love playing with these players. Like I never once thought to myself going to a scrim block like I would much rather do anything else with my day right now. Like it was a great time playing with them, and I would love to run it back, but I don't really think it's in the cards right now.
That's all good.
Mhm.
Maybe you all will go to D4 together one day, so and get the full rundown.
Hell yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love
Why
it.
why stop at D4, right? You know, take it all the way to
True,
Yeah,
true.
LCK.
Someone's
I don't
got to
know.
win
Yeah.
wins besides Faker, right? I mean, it's got to be
True.
this
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
eventually, you know.
We just gotta drop
We're in
Sly
this
and then we're
last
in there.
Yo. That's crazy. Hey, I'll have you know, I'm actually taking next split off to boot camp because
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Faker
we'll be ready for
2.0.
it.
yeah.
Oh man.
It's
Look
great to
out.
hear. Well, I know you all had a long night too, and it's already kind of late, but I want to give a chance for you all to give any final shout outs, any last words before we close out the broadcast, and wish you all the best on the next split.
Yeah, I'll go first. So this
And
team
this
name,
is
this is Efron. You can hear me, Efron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
No, just introduce yourself before you give your last words. So that way everyone
Okay.
on the broadcast knows exactly who you are, because we're not exactly showing your cams off.
Okay, yeah, I'm Efron, mid laner. Anyways, so this team name, Mid No Riven, was dedicated to my good friend, Socks and Thighs, and I just want to say that we love him and we miss him, and rest in paradise.
Am I supposed to pick up the puck after that? I'm sorry.
It's
It's Killer Fox. My bad. Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Sox. I mean, I didn't know him super well, but obviously the whole team was kind of like, you know, like the whole team name and everything was made for him, and definitely a driving reason that I think everybody is a lot more like serious is definitely like, you know, a big driving factor for the team. And shout out to, you know, some of my friends, Jammer, Hayden, you know, the boys that were watching the scrims, the games, stuff like that. But I'll pass it over to Soup.
Hello, Soup, jungler here. Shout out to this team, amazing team that I've been on, best team that I've been on. Shout out to Chai, who brought me in again for Conduit, for giving me a chance. Shout out to Midnight. He's a great freaking jungler. He's better than me. Honestly, like huge game to him, like huge 3 games to him. Like honestly, like he gapped me. I'm just gonna say it. Like I'm very humble, and I recognize, you know, my greatness. And this guy, he's a good one. He's better than me. So huge props to him though.
Nice.
Just kind of backpacking off some of the other stuff, you know. Shout out to Socks. I didn't know him either. I've only ever heard good things. RIP to him though. Shout out to this team. This has been the most fun I played in comp before. I wouldn't be here if I didn't break my leg, which is crazy to think about. Which just gave me a lot more time to play League. But yeah, shout out to Chai and
Silver
Conduit. Just like, yeah, silver lining. But shout out to Chai and like Conduit for giving me a home and making me feel welcomed.
Nice. As someone that's
All right,
broken their
this
leg
is,
before, wish you the best.
I was
on
gonna
that
say, I
recovery.
think Slifer hasn't spoken.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Shout out again to Socks, like everyone else said. Really big shout out to Conduit. I was on the verge of being teamless this split or just like subbing, and like kind of like last minute, I managed to get a spot on this team, which I'm super grateful for. Shout out to my team; they've been amazing, and you know, I had some rough performances in some of our season games, so thank you to you guys for carrying me. And shout out to Ion D for giving me a reality check in week 6 and like showing me I need to lock in and practice a lot more.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you all as well for a fantastic split. And of course, shout out to Socks. I've only had the pleasure of casting him a few times, but always played really well in the Rift, and a fantastic win dedicated to him. But that's going to do it for the winter split of Titan Esports Divinity League. Appreciate you all for being a part of it and making history, and everyone that tuned in. But until then, we'll catch you all in the next split. So be sure to sign up if you'd like to. And we do have a boot camp going on for Titan Esports. So join the Titan Esports Discord if you're trying to find a team or you're scouting to pick up new members for your team. But until then, that's going to do it for us. Any final words, Anti?
Thanks everyone for making this a possibility, right? It's always a good time to be able to, you know, cast along with you, Caleb. I'm very happy to be able to be here. Last week we weren't sure if I was going to be able to come back for Divinity Finals, but I mean, here we both are, and once again with Sherrigan, with Lily. It's always a good time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure to tune into the rest of the broadcast throughout the week. We still are wrapping up a few of our, schedulings here and there, but man, what a great way to end the season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you all for always supporting Titan Esports and tuning in, and we'll catch you on next split in Divinity League. Until then, have a great one, y'all, and peace out.